This is S4 with your host, Eric Cooper.
Greetings, folks, and welcome to S4, where we talk about the real issues involving paranormal and current events, coming to you live from the S4 headquarters in the heart of the Cascade Mountains of Washington State. We also cover topics such as disaster and terrorist response and preparation and veterans issues as appropriate. So, tonight, it's the 12th of April. Happy Easter, Blessed Ostara, Blessed not Midsummer, that's in June. Spring equinox, I'm trying to rush it here. Tonight, we're discussing what happens to the paranormal field after a pandemic. Life as we know it has changed, and it's not going to be the same. We all know that. Paranormal issues will remain the same, or will they be worse? What do you think? And do you think the paranormal teams will change the way they investigate? What about Bigfoot investigations, UFOs, and going to clients' homes for paranormal emergencies? What are your thoughts? So tonight we have with us Cole and Kayla, Barry Gaunt from Into the Fire Radio and the Kentucky MUFON director, Pam Vredenberg, social media expert for Dr. J Radio, and Margaret Cecile. I'm going to butcher that name. So how are we all doing, guys?
Good.
Perfect.
Good.
Excellent.
Hey, we're doing fantastic. Happy Easter, everybody, and hope you guys we're ready for a good show tonight. Let's go for it.
Hopefully that little bunny was good to everyone out there.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, he pooped on my yard. Damn it.
What did you do?
We had, 1,000 eggs here?
Yes.
Yeah.
Something like that? Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, and it was a good day for it. I mean, and it's almost like the Earth is fighting back. So we start with a pandemic. And I go back, I remember our 2020 show, and we were excited. And we're talking about Nostradamus and the predictions. Little did we know there's a pandemic around the corner. But we've got tornadoes hitting the southeast. We have I don't know. I'm kind of looking outside, going, "Where's the rain?" It's weird. I almost feel like we're entering drought season early. It's just I don't know. The whole Earth seems to be in chaos without being in chaos. What do you guys think?
I'm 100%. I'm 100% with you there. I got to tell you something, man. As I sit back and watch and see the stuff that's going around here, weather phenomena, Nashville's nasty tornadoes that tore up the strong weather. It seems like to me that this year we're ahead of everything. I don't know if it seems like everything bloomed early. Everything's way out ahead, and then the ground tremors, earthquakes, all that stuff. I mean, we're here. It's like the prophecies, biblical times, that kind of stuff. It gives you that really weird feeling. Plus this pandemic that we were on, and some of the weird things is starting to get to the point where now, and I'm seeing, I don't know if you guys are seeing it, that a lot of people are starting to buck the let's not stay at home anymore, and let's not do this. And there's something else going on here other than what we are being told. Project Mockingbird is being spread throughout, and people are hearing more about Project Mockingbird.
I'm not really.
Yeah, what's Project Mockingbird?
I'm not familiar with Project Mockingbird.
Project Mockingbird is a project of the media's ruling what we do and what we hear, fake news, that kind of stuff.
Okay, I got you.
Definitely something to look up.
Yeah,
That's true. But if people don't stay home, we're going to keep spreading this disease.
absolutely.
I'm just saying that sounds a hell of a lot like Project Mockingjay.
Yeah,
No, that's different.
No, Project Mocking Home with an H.
See, that's Hunger Games.
Yeah.
Oh, they
Are we
already split us up into districts.
Are we rising up here?
Let's stay home. We don't need to rise up here.
It disgusted me because we do what we're supposed to do. We go to Walmart. I go every other week just to get what we need. We had to go last night, so we put our mask on. We put our gloves on, and 2 weeks ago when we went in, everybody had a mask on. Everybody had gloves on. We're like, awesome. They're doing what they're supposed to do. Last night was the complete opposite. There's maybe one in, we were the ones getting looked at, getting scoffed at, like, really? Why are you wearing a mask? Well, maybe because the governor told everybody to. Does that make me a sheep?
Yeah.
No, that makes me the smart one. Because the more of you dumbasses that aren't wearing the mask and the gloves, you're going to spread the virus. It's going to spike again. That's what's going to happen.
Well, okay, let's be clear, though. Some of the dumbasses are still wearing the masks and gloves. Because I saw a picture on my Facebook of a guy sitting in a grocery aisle, and he had taken the glove off with his mouth to use his phone.
Well, that's okay. And again, that's going to weed out the cheat code. I bet you.
All right, that's exactly it.
And then you got the
You're
governor.
supposed to wear masks, gloves, and goggles or glasses.
I haven't heard the goggles part.
Yeah, that just got released a little bit ago, saying that it can get into your tear ducts and into your eyes.
Well, that makes sense. It's anything that's
And
an
social
open-
distancing is not 6 feet away; it's 13
It's
feet.
13.
But the
That
thing is-
just came out.
Well, okay, so if you think about your typical virus and your typical sneeze and the amount of distance that travels, well, if they're talking about it being picked up by droplets in the air, then technically you should be standing at least 20 feet away from people. Like, if we're actually looking at the science behind all of that, and it is droplets in the air, a sneeze can travel up to 20 feet.
Well,
And
this is always changing. Nobody really knows the extent of this thing. So it's always going to change. You got the World Health Organization saying one thing. You got the CDC saying the other thing. You got Trump going against them both and saying, "Oh no, we're going to do it this way." Nobody really knows what to do. Which one do you listen to?
we listen to ourselves, to your gut.
You stay home.
My husband works at Walmart.
Mm-hmm.
I've been to Walmart since all this happened, and I hate Walmart, okay?
Right.
But it's a paycheck. It pays our bills,
Right.
okay?
Absolutely.
They're counting people going in. They're counting people coming out.
Right. And that's
And all these things with stuff being roped off with tape that I've been seeing on Facebook, they're not doing that at his Walmart, so I don't know.
Oh, they aren't even
what's
counting
going on
people
with
at
that.
ours.
they're
are-
counting.
They are in Indianapolis.
Yeah,
No,
they are in
they're
Kentucky
not
also,
roping-
but
They're not roping anything off here either.
No.
No. And half of the places, like I said, most of the places aren't even counting the number of people that are going into the store at a time.
No.
One thing that does concern me a lot, we still have open restaurants that you can go through drive-through.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, stupidly we use them from time to time. But how do we know those people who are making a sandwich or a burger or KFC isn't infected cooking our food?
Well, that's where we have to rely on the...
They should be closed.
I agree.
But then everything has to close. Every single business in the world.
Well, it should have.
No, including hospitals. Because
yeah.
they can't get needed supplies if truckers can't go to somewhere to get food while they're on the road.
That is true.
These places...
That's true, and my brother's a trucker.
Everything takes something else to be open.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a chain.
Supply chain.
Yeah, it's a supply chain. And you can't disrupt any part of that supply chain. You can change it a little bit. But we had so many truckers in both countries go on strike recently because some restaurants would not allow them to walk up to the drive-thru.
Right.
And they don't fit under that little 10-inch clearance or 10-foot clearance thing that most of those drive-thrus have.
No, the one guy tried.
That was a mess.
Yeah, that was in Canada, wasn't it?
Yeah, they refused to serve him, so he went through the drive-thru with his truck.
I don't know if you guys know, but the farmers are having their vegetables spoiling also now.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, when you don't have the pickers out there picking, how are you going to get your crops in?
Well, not at that, but even if they had the pickers, there's no place really to sell them to now, they're saying.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of, especially like our local farmers and stuff, they rely on different farmers markets, different stores, different restaurants that buy local,
right, that
create dishes out of local stuff. Well, most of our restaurants right now can't afford to buy local to make their stuff because they're in a crappy situation financially as well.
Mm-hmm. So what do you think about, now I haven't heard anything new, but I know last week during the show, the Georgia governor opened up the beaches.
Yes, he did.
Is there anything new on that?
I haven't heard anything new on that. It's so weird. Each state is doing its own thing. We just heard that Walmart's counting them all up there. We started that down here in Kentucky. We heard of all that stuff nowadays. The three people that are sitting in front of Walmart are all there together. No family is supposed to go in. One person goes into the store. There's hordes of people going in there. There's counters, but they're not counting. They dealt with the lines for a few days, and I think they just kind of said, well, forget that. There are some stores that do have, you go into a Kroger's and there's an arrow on the floor. It means the Kroger police, you cannot walk down. You have to follow the pathway, if you will. You can't go down a different direction. Everything is all one way, so you can't bump into anybody.
You know what? In all fairness, we were doing that in the Army years ago. Our commissaries in the Army were all one way.
Right.
So I expect that. I mean, not anymore. It's been 10 years, but you have nothing but mass chaos and people running into each other when you have, because they're not made two-way, two-lane, whatever. The Army commissaries have always done, you only go one way.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. If you need laundry detergent, you better go all the way around and then come back down because you're gonna have the retirees glaring at you if you're going the wrong way.
Yeah. Well, and we were talking about the drive-thrus and everything else, and I was sitting in one the other day, and the lady opens I'm in a gigantic line. I get up there, the lady takes my money, like she did everybody else. She's wearing gloves. I've got to touch her gloves. It has all kinds of stuff on them already, right? And then she's going to give me the money that everybody else has touched.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
I mean, and you're like going, does this really make sense?
You know what the problem with that is?
I even get concerned about my credit cards or debit cards. We're all sticking the same thing in the machines.
Yeah, we are. Yeah.
The thing is,
we're all doing the same.
Nobody's washing them on the inside.
Yeah, nobody's washing them on the outside either.
No.
There is no way we can actually make that part of this safer.
Well, the thing is, so the ones I've seen that I've gone to, they will stick the machine outside the door or outside the window, and you put your own card in the machine, you handle it, and you take the card out, and that's how they do it. That's how our restaurants.
But that's
have been
not.
doing it.
but
That's
I
safer
think
for
what
your
she's
employees
talking
at the
about-
restaurant. It's not safer for the people.
I think what
visiting.
she's talking
No.
about is the fact that this can live on especially plastic surfaces for what they figured out, like 4 days or something of that nature.
Right.
So if you're touching your card, you swipe it through. Okay? The next person comes, they touch their card, they swipe it through the same spot you just swiped your card through. Well, if you had touched it on the other side when you swiped it, all of this kind of crap.
Right.
Okay? There are so many ways to transmit something that is that easily passable.
Yeah.
That no matter what you did, besides a full like martial law type of scenario where you would lock down everybody within their houses, have a set sector of, let's say, military or government or whatever it is, being the ones that troll the roads and hand you out the supplies. Unless it was exactly like that kind of a scenario, it's never going to be 100%. It's never going to be 100% safe for anybody. And we do what we do. You do the best you can in a situation that's completely unprecedented.
Yeah. Well,
And I agree.
hey, let me play devil's advocate just for a second.
Okay.
I go to the doctor every 2 weeks. He does some stuff for me every 2 weeks, and so I'm in the doctor's office. I'm the only one in the doctor's office. The only one in the doctor's office. And I was there for over an hour. No one else came in. No one else came in. The doctor's telling me, he goes, hey, I'm just trying to keep these people hard because I'm going to have to let them off. And across the street is the hospital. Now, the hospital looks like it's a ghost graveyard. The emergency room has a lit up sign saying how long the wait's going to be. The wait was 1 minute. Down here, we're hearing that people are being laid off from the hospitals, everything else. So you're like going, okay, so where is all this stuff going and where's all these bad things? Then you hear that since the coronavirus came around, that the number one killers in the world, cancer, pneumonia, and heart attacks, have all dropped dramatically. So people are not having those anymore, but is it that they are reporting those as Corona-19 deaths now, and to inflate the numbers to give us.
I think it's the fact that most people aren't getting checked. You're not seeing cancers. Like you're seeing the people who have already been diagnosed with cancer come in. They are getting their regular meds. They're getting everything that they're supposed to. They're getting the radiation. But new patients of cancer are not coming in, and it will just be a death.
Mm-hmm.
You're not getting as many new patients with cancer coming in as you do.
Well, you're not getting
Right.
as many new patients with anything. Everybody right now is so scared to go to a hospital because they think they're going to catch whatever it is that they're not checking on the fact that I have this lump here that it's kind of weird. I'll wait until the social distancing is over, then I'll go check it out.
Yeah. For now, screw it. It'll go away.
All by itself. So,
And to be perfectly honest, this is horrible, but once all the social distancing is lifted and everything else, I honestly believe we are going to find a lot of deceased people in houses that haven't been checked on for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, my mother is 76 and my stepfather is 85, and we call them every day.
Yes, I'm just saying, there's a lot of people out there that don't necessarily have those type of connections. They might have one or two friends, and they might talk to somebody maybe once a month or something of that nature. There's a lot of people that really are solitude people. Mm-hmm. And I believe that
I saw this.
Yeah.
I saw this couple, sorry to interrupt. I saw this couple at the grocery store maybe 2 weeks ago. It was a little old man and a little old lady, and they both were riding buggies, and they both had masks on, and they were collecting all the supplies that they needed and everything. And boom, I said to myself, these poor people don't even have children or anybody to help them.
Oh.
Nope.
Right. And if
And it
God
was
forbid,
raining out. The
something
guy
were to
got the
happen-
woman in.
Yeah.
Well, and I get that this is a huge thing. I get that this has changed every aspect of everyone's lives. It honestly has.
Mm-hmm.
And there's going to be a lot of deaths that come with it. But there's also going to be a lot of new births. There's a lot of couples staying at home right now.
Yeah, but
we just created a baby boom.
It's not just that. As soon as this is over, that first night that they lift social distancing and bars open, you know how many babies are going to have a birthday 9 months later?
Yeah.
All right. Well, and to be perfectly honest, too, in certain states, they are calling birth control and stuff a non-essential service.
Yep.
Yep.
Not only that, but if people are terrified to go to the hospitals, they're not going in there to get their birth control, to get their condoms, to get the stuff they normally would to prevent that.
Mm-hmm.
But you'll get a lot less random, let's say, Tinder babies.
For now, until
Yeah,
they lift that
9
social
months
distancing.
we'll have a baby boom.
Oh,
Yeah.
for sure, for sure.
And
9 months once that Tinder lifts. I mean,
And they'll
it's
call
gonna be a
it
little nuts.
the COVID generation.
The Coronians.
Huh?
Children
The Cronians.
of
The Cronus.
The Coronians is what they were saying they will be called.
wow.
Yes, the Coronians. I like that.
You don't like children
What
of
planet?
the corn?
What planet did they come from?
Speaking of which, so Perry,
Yeah.
how have UFO reports been in the last month and a half?
UFO reports here in Kentucky have been insane. We have really gotten a lot of UFO reports. A lot of times, Kentucky is one of those areas that per capita it rates very highly. If you take everybody, the sightings and you just break it all down, and it's not. We have a lot of people and everything else, and you just take it across the board. You're going to see that Kentucky is normally pretty high up there. I think it was number 6 in reports of UFOs back a while ago. But we've gone from like 10 to 12 cases a month to 24 cases last month. We're already burning it up this month already. It seems like there's all kinds of cases and things being seen. Abductions are up. We've had new abduction cases. We've been seeing some weird things also in the paranormal side of it. And I've got to say the disclaimer, everybody. Yes, I am the Kentucky State MUFON director, and I'm also a paranormal investigator and help run Night Stalkers Paranormal.
Right.
But everything that I'm saying is my own opinion, and it doesn't mean the same opinion it would be with MUFON, and I want to make sure that's all clear, so that people don't think that what I am saying is I'm saying is the same as what MUFON is going to say or do. So.
Right.
You know what? We were actually talking about your state earlier. Because it always makes me laugh because I can identify your state on a map every time. Because one of the most popular restaurants in Canada is Kentucky Fried Chicken. That's the one everyone loves. And your state actually looks like a chicken wing that's extra crispy. Or a chicken leg.
Hey, well, thank you for the chicken wing statement. That's since KFC did start here in Kentucky, it's I'm sure that's the reason why they put the state lines where they are.
Well, I would hope Kentucky Fried Chicken started in Kentucky.
Right. So I'm curious though. So we know some races, abduct for science, some do it for social. Do you think the rise in abductions is because they're checking on, I don't know, sick people?
It's got to be.
Probably not, but
Yeah, I don't agree with that because it seems like the people that they're checking on are not sick.
Okay.
Maybe
I think that at least they are not now.
Right.
It seems to be more like there is a quota to be filled. And again, this is my opinion.
Right.
That seems like there are certain people that they're trying to open their consciousness to, like they were supposed to be opened, and to do something, to have a piece of the puzzle. I know that sounds weird, but at the same time, as we were also seeing these other phenomena, UFO reports going up, same thing with the cryptos and different things that are happening, and we've discussed that in the past 4 on shows. And there's some very odd things going as the earthquakes seem to, which they don't report very much here in the Kentucky area. You don't see them as much. Everything is all tied up with COVID-19. But for some reason they don't like to cover that. They don't like to cover certain other stories. But there's some weird stuff going on. And even when you look at the way the land lays, I mean, if you're out there and you are an observer, one of the biggest things to do is just look around at your world. So many people just keep going at things and they don't look around. But you'll be able to see the land has been changing over the last few years. It looks like there's an underground movement and everything else. Of course, we have the largest cave system in the world here in Kentucky, Mammoth Cave. It goes on for miles and miles and miles. But there are some very strange things happening this way. And we try to keep our fingers on that pulse. And, unfortunately, a lot of it's being swept under the rug.
So
I have a question for you both.
Of course.
Why aren't the aliens trying to heal any of us?
That's not their purpose. So
Okay.
we've discussed this I've been in this field for 30 years, and so has.
Yeah, I've been in it a long time too, and 42 years now.
Right.
And I don't think that's their purpose either. I think that
What is
there
their
are some
purpose?
cases, I think there is some people that do get healing from them, though. It's funny. If you have a problem and they're seeing you on a regular basis, they may fix something that you have wrong with you.
Absolutely. It has to do with which race they are. It has to do with what their purpose for abducting the individual is.
Right.
And Izzy says, why would they? And she's right. Like, what reason would they have to do it? We don't... It's not like we're... It's not like they have that responsibility for us.
They don't have a familial tie with humans.
No.
You've got different theories out there. Some believe that it's the aliens that seeded the humans here, and that's a possibility. But at the same time, they don't have a tie. Generally speaking, most abductees are abductees because their grandparents have been taken. It may or may not have skipped the parents, and it goes to the kids. Sometimes it goes to all 3 generations versus just 2. And it's basically, as best we can tell, they're tracking DNA, they're tracking genetic changes, things of that nature.
Social experimentation.
Yeah, and that depends.
Yes.
That depends which race.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them do it for social experimentation, watching emotions, emotional studies. Some of them,
True.
well, hell, they just eat us.
Yeah,
And those people disappear.
And Dennis says prime directive, non-interference, and he may be right. Maybe that is part of their directive, is that they're not allowed to interfere with something that is this global.
And that's another theory. If you go by the other theories of the consortium, where it's the intergalactic councils, they're only here to watch. Now, they will not interfere unless it's a global, not a pandemic. But if say there's a nuclear war and there's multiple missiles that are about to impact different continents.
Okay, we'll put it this way: they won't interfere unless something is catastrophic enough to mess with the actual solar system,
The Earth.
and the Earth itself.
Yeah.
Well, and that's only about half of the races.
Man, that's true too.
Because when you think about it, like if we pull out a steak out of our fridge and it's got some green on the edges, it's looking a little rough, do we give it medicine to fix it, or do we toss it?
We toss it. And hey, Dennis, good to see you in the chat room.
To a lot of races, we're food.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
There's about 3 races I know of they're flesh eaters, and that's all they do is eat us.
pretty much our drive-through is probably closed for them right now.
No, it wouldn't be because everybody's home.
Well,
Yeah, but you never know if you're going to get a sick one.
yeah. You don't want to get a bad piece of meat, you know what I mean?
Oh my gosh.
Okay, that's
Can you imagine those aliens sitting up there and they're like, oh, God, I got a gross one. Guys, check this out.
Yeah.
Dude, this one's got snot coming out of his nose. He must be sick. We can't touch that one.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's zoonotic. No. Jeez.
But on the other side, don't you think after this is going to be all over and everybody gets the ones that are here well, that means those certain sectors of those aliens are going to be, hey man, the food supply is open. Let's go shopping.
Right?
Well, okay, so I got a question for you on the abductee thing. Do you think it's a possibility that number might be going up because more people have time to notice?
Interesting thing. I think that most people don't want to notice. I really, they think that maybe, it's kind of weird. We had a conversation with Grant Cameron last week that was just awesome, and I kind of go up with him with the conscious idea. But also at the same time, you look at the way that the ET and everything else is all set up. I'm kind of like going, hey. I'm just going to do. I'm sorry. I'm just going to say pass on that question.
No worries.
Real quick, Dennis brings up, and we already hit this in the first 10 minutes ago. So about species cross contamination, us. It'd be interesting to see if abductions and sightings have reduced during this time. Actually, no, Dennis. We just brought that up a little bit ago. That no, they've gone up. They've actually spiked. But he brings up the good point that have they gone up because more people are going outside because they're stuck at home, and that brings up a valid point. We were looking outside just the other night, and you can see the comet. How many reports that you've taken have actually been the comet misidentified as a UFO?
None. I have not have anyone. The worst ones we get are the SpaceX.
We've had five or six people reporting that here, and they all thought it was aliens, and it's just the 4 satellites in a row.
Right, exactly. SpaceX is probably one of the worst ones because you see the SpaceX trains and they go, "Oh, we're being invaded."
Right. Well, in all fairness, the comet stays in one spot. The comet's kind of a hard one to say. Oh, it's a UFO because it's a bright light in the sky, but it stays in one spot. Right. Other than when
it's gradually coming towards us.
I don't think so.
Okay, now this is weird, but I gotta ask. So do you think if an alien species came down and they did abduct somebody that has COVID-19, if that person bit them, do you think that it would do another zoonotic jump into the alien species?
I don't, because most of the races that are coming down here to abduct are wearing a spacesuit. For lack of a better word, I mean, you won't find many of them coming in here in their own skin, if you want to call it skin.
What?
He has to bite them, really?
I mean, anything. Sneeze on them, bite them, whatever. But
cough on them.
You went straight for zombie.
I didn't go zombie. I mean, as if somebody put me down on like a testing table or something of that nature, they got your hands pinned down, what are you going to do? I'm going to bite them. I don't care. I'll be like,
So, Margaret.
That's normally why they strap you around the neck. A lot of people talk about bruising around the neck and everything.
Right? So, Margaret, have you ever seen a UFO? Is Margaret still with us?
Nope, I got to pull her back in.
Okay. How about you, Pam? Have you ever seen a UFO?
Pam?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
Have you
No,
ever?
I haven't.
You haven't seen any? Okay. Okay.
But I've heard one.
Did you hear the hum or vibration? Or
It was
what did
weird
you hear?
noise it was making. I really can't remember the sound right now, but I was on a call with a friend who is a star child. I don't know if you know what that is, and I'm not sure what it is myself.
Where is she?
Huh. Okay. Apparently, Margaret left.
Where is Margaret?
Left the
Where is
show.
she located?
She's. Oh, yeah. They're having some pretty bad weather over there right now.
Yeah.
Oh, she's in Alabama.
Just so everyone knows, if we lose any of our guests tonight, with the weather there, that just unfortunately has to be expected sometimes.
Okay. Okay. That would. Okay. So Margaret's left the show tonight. We wish her the best and stay safe.
Yeah, we'll get her back on another night.
Sounds good. So anyway, describe the UFO you heard.
It wasn't a UFO, it was an alien, and I can't remember the sound it made.
Was it kind of like a tick tick? Like no, I not like a tick tick, but more
Clicking.
noises.
Kind of.
Oh,
Did you
which
hear
one
a
is
high,
that?
babe? Did you hear a high frequency with it?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
That who is that? That's the Greys, I think, isn't it? Isn't it, Barry?
There are several that come with different frequencies, and the Greys do use a very odd frequency that's different. If we're talking about UFOs, it's been funny because I've got any of you guys ever heard of a MADAR unit?
I've heard of it.
Yeah, well, I've got one here in the house. The MADAR people that have been doing it with NASCAP and MUFON's getting involved with it more and more and everything else. But I have one here in the house, and the last week, while all this stuff has been going on, I have been getting high spikes on mine with magnetism, everything else. We've been hearing high frequencies, very odd sounds, and in fact, Eric and I were outside the other night looking at something, and we said, "Whoa, what the heck is that?" And the first thing I thought was it might have been a comet, but it was so bright in the sky, and it moved from the where it was to the left, and then we start being abductees. We kind of said, "Okay, we'd like you to dim your light and go out." And the damn thing light went out. And then we said, "Okay, can you bring your light back up?" And the light came back on. And then it moved to the left again. And then all of a sudden shot back to the right and then disappeared. And we had high anomalies that time. And we've had a lot of high frequencies here. Just for some reason, it seems like the abductees have a better opportunity to be able to hear some of the frequencies and are used to it. So
I would think with for the ones that can actually hear the frequency more, I think there might be a chip or there might be an implant that might help with some of that.
I agree with you. I know that I've got some in me. I know that Eric has some in him.
Right.
You know, it's
Are
just
you saying I have a chip in me?
Not necessarily.
That's exactly what I was thinking. I'm like, oh, hey, wait a minute.
Yeah.
I'm not going to go that route just yet.
Welcome to the club, by the way. A lot of people.
I think it depends. I think it depends how open you are too.
Sure. Yeah, I do understand that, but I also understand that a lot of people may have experiences that may relate to a conscious experience of an ET or something like that, but their own mind will downplay that. And like they may wake up with odd marks on their body. And, that went away. Okay, that's okay. So what did I do to myself? Whatever. And they may be chipped. They may be doing it. Some people don't remember their experiences at all, and others do for some darn reason.
And that's why I always encourage abductees to keep a dream journal, because that's the best way, unless you do hypnotic regression. And I don't like. I will never alter my opinion of hypnotic regression. I just don't think it's the wise way to go.
Well, Barry, as far as you're saying that some of them fully remember things, some of them remember bits and pieces of things, some of them don't remember anything. Mm-hmm. Right? Well, wouldn't it be the same as, when people go to the doctor and they give them, let's say, like a Dilaudid or something of that nature? Some people it will knock right out. Some people they'll be kind of in that weird in-between state. Right. And others will be not affected at all. Do you think it has to do with maybe the type of medication or mind control or whatever it is that they're using? It just doesn't work on certain people?
I agree with that 100%. I think that sometimes that there are certain people, whether it's in our DNA, we talked about just earlier in the show about multi-generational. Well, if you're a multiple generational abductee, I would say your DNA may just have something in it that may fight against the mind-numbing agents that they have used in the past or are using now.
You're talking kind of like an immunity to it, like they've built it up through generational, and it's in their DNA now.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Okay.
Right.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Jennifer's in the chat room. I'd have to. I agree with her. She's all of her encounters have been completely silent, and she does not believe that they don't come to help some of us. And that
I would put that a different way. Not all of them are coming for nefarious purposes. Some of them, we can't be the only species, intelligent species, in the universe with compassion.
Yeah,
we're not possible.
There's
thousands of races that come here, have been here, and are always visiting or watching.
Correct.
So yes, I would agree with that, but I also believe it. We've heard of the abductions where cancer was cured. We've heard of the abductions where different illnesses are handled. I think it depends on what they have invested in that person or that family line.
Well, and the other thing that I would be thinking too is on the compassion side of that, if you have followed somebody since the day that they were born, okay? So let's take it into a different area. Let's say like you have an animal, you have a pet, something of that nature, okay? Mm-hmm. Some people, once that pet gets diagnosed with something, well, okay, then we should put it down. Other people, on the other hand, will take it to the vet, get it fixed in any way they can.
Right.
So I think it depends also what your connection with that person, how long you've been watching that family line, and what that actually means. The other thing I would think is if they're the last one of that family line, well then they need to have a child in order for you to continue your studies. So you would have to cure whatever was wrong with them for them to continue procreating for your study to even matter.
So on that, here's one for you, Barry. Because I know you and I are on the same line as far as...
Mary was an abductee.
No. I'm not going that route.
Oh, yeah.
Here's the deal. We know there's a tie between spirits and hauntings and aliens, Bigfoot. The paranormal is all interconnected. So, what if an abductee moves into another house and has some kind of a malevolent entity that's haunting the home? Ooh. Have you ever heard where you've had some kind of an entity threatening the family and an abduction comes in and handles it?
Who?
That's a heck of a good question. And I would, let's take it in my own cases. Yes, I've just moved into this house that I'm in now. And there was something here in this house. I did not do anything. I have not saged the house, did anything else with it. I would get up and pots, pans. In fact, I even got up and said, what is that noise? And ran into the kitchen, and the kitchen faucet's running. And I heard a lot of voices and everything else. And all of a sudden, that kind of just stopped. So I'm not too sure if that means yes or no.
That means you have alien cleansing.
Yeah. Well, let me.
It's like Mortal Kombat at its best,
right?
Yeah.
Alien versus Ghost.
That there's, I've got a comment. I forget the person in the chat room who mentioned this about of all of them being this way and everything else, and I wanted to just bring this out for everybody. We hear a lot about the orange orbs, okay?
Right.
And through
you talking about UFO orbs?
Yes, UFO orbs that are orange, or a fireball that's been seen. Excuse my southern far accent.
Well, it reminds me of the Nuremberg, the Battle of Nuremberg.
Yeah, well, it's kind of like most of the people who have those experiences always say that it's more like a very enlightening experience who sees that. They have a very great experience. They feel uplifted. It's almost like a religious experience. Not being abducted, not being seeing it. But that's you know what? But I mean, that's the way that they perceive it. They don't
euphoric experience.
A very euphoric experience. Excellent point, and I like that euphoric experience.
Well, that was my very first UFO sighting. Was a bright orange orb over Kitzingen, Germany.
Did you feel?
I did because it was my very first UFO. I'm like, oh my god, it's a UFO. Because it was weird. Because we're driving down the Autobahn, and off to my right, it was like midnight because we just taken a soldier to prison, and so we were coming back home, and the full moon was on one side, and there's this bright ass orange orb over the city of. Actually, it was over Bad Windsheim. And I looked at the staff sergeant that was riding with me, and I was like, do you see that ball of light over Bad Windsheim? He's like, yeah, I've been watching that. And it was almost like somebody turned the light switch off. That's how it left. It was just gone. Yeah. Now, and it's interesting because Bad Windsheim and Kitzingen are about 45 minutes drive from Nuremberg. And if you remember the wood carvings and all the artistic paintings from 1800s of they called the spaceship battle over Nuremberg back in the 1800s. It looked just like those orbs.
Right.
It was interesting, and so I was in a sense euphoric because that was my first UFO sighting. I've been in the UFO field before then, but I never actually witnessed one. That was my first one. Yeah.
And I'll throw something else into it. A lot of people who have seen these orange orbs also see something like a white light or helicopters coming after them, like they want them to leave, like they don't want them here for that purpose. It's like somebody else is fighting them. They're like going, run away, get out of here. And just out there, it's something that has gone through my head sometimes. So is there a good and maybe a bad, and bad don't want the good here? Who knows?
I wondered, honestly, when you said that it gives you like a euphoric feeling, and then there's other ones that come and kind of push them away or whatever. Well, we know that certain beings feed off of different types of energy.
Mm-hmm.
So,
True.
let's say the guys that are going to push them away are feeding off of fear energy. Stuff like that. And if it causes people to become happy and euphoric, well, you just took away their energy source.
Yeah, true.
Well, on that regard, though, you're taking away the malevolent food source because they feed off the fear.
Right.
So if you have a benevolent or a positive race or entity that's coming down, they're taking away the food source. Mm-hmm. So that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, let's even talk about it. Let's talk about, we say fear. Let's talk about the ones that feed off. I mean, let's just lump it into an emotional field because they feed off of emotions. So fear is an emotion.
Right.
There's a lot of different emotions that they feed off of, Excuse me. So,
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
When we bought this house here last September, we found out that we live under a flight path. Would UFOs stay away from it because it's a flight path with planes coming and going, or be near it because of it?
I think it's irrelevant. Because, you've got so many UFO reports that actually happen around flight paths and airports. And you have other airports that have none.
I don't think it's irrelevant. I think it's interconnected.
Do you?
You're going to see... Yeah. You're still going to see a little bit of the same amount of activity there, but there's no way they don't listen in on the FFA. They are listening to what's going on, where those planes are going, when they're going to take off, when they're going to land, when they're going to go over that area.
Yeah. And Brett, maybe let me throw this into you, and this is just, again, my opinion, but strip away everything on the land, okay, and say that there is magnetic fields, or let's say there's portals in certain areas, and we go ahead and build on it, and we build an airport by it, okay? Don't you think that they're gonna that portal is still going to be open? Doesn't matter what's there; they're still going to use that portal. So that's why we have some near misses. That's why we have reports like that in those areas and everything else. It's because of the way that the Earth is. There are certain openings and areas in the Earth that have always been here, and the magnetic field and high EMF are going to be in certain areas, and they are using that as energy and how to get from point A to point B. It's kind of like when we set up a space shot. There's only certain times when we can go up there. Do you remember that way back when they say, "Okay, the window is open now, so we can shoot up that way." Right. Same thing now. So why do you think maybe that if you group all the
energy
sightings together, and all the sightings together, there are certain sightings that happen on the West Coast. You'll see, the West Coast can happen. All of a sudden, then it goes to the East Coast. And then all of a sudden, it comes into the central area. So I want
to take that a step further, because I want to take and I've said this before, I want to take a map, and I want to take all the missing people's cluster spots from Dale Paulides' work. I want to take all the Bigfoot reports, and I want to take all the UFO reports and see how interconnected they are on certain hot spots around the Earth.
I think you're going to find very much, because I think it's already been done.
Probably.
And some of the reports that I've seen, and if you look at Kentucky,
right,
which is strange, if you get to see that, the police report, the caves, all the things that are going on, and you will just be covered up. You won't even know that. You won't even see the chicken wing, because all you'll see is dots.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Well, and the one I automatically thought of when Barry mentioned portals and we're talking about airplanes is Bermuda Triangle.
Yeah.
Right. Right. Exactly.
Well, and Dennis Coach is also in the chat room bringing up Skinwalker Ranch. I think there's certain spots that are just undeniably hot spots for multiple You open up a portal, anything can come through. Whether it's a Bigfoot, whether it's a UFO, whether it's spirit activity. I also think they're connected with ley lines. We've talked about that before.
Yeah,
to be honest,
exactly.
I think they're also connected with your tectonic plates.
Oh,
and
absolutely.
different magnetic forces that are coming off of those.
Well, volcanoes.
Yes.
We know that some races actually use volcanic energy for fueling their craft.
Yeah.
Well, and then you've got these portals that are that's got to be a huge amount of energy.
Oh yeah,
That's got to affect your tectonic plates as well.
5G.
Hey, since Dennis mentioned the Skinwalker Ranch, has anybody watched the new show on the History Channel?
No.
Which one? Skinwalker Ranch.
Skinwalker.
No, I haven't
Skinwalker
seen
Ranch. It's on Tuesday night, and for some reason, I always check them out. Most of the time, when I see something like that, I haven't done it. But for some reason, they have really piqued my interest.
I'm writing it down right now.
I watched
History Channel.
I watched the first episode of that about halfway through because,
Yeah.
well, ask anybody. I'm a documentary freak. I watch all of them.
Yes, she
is.
is.
It drives everybody here.
Horrible.
I do too. Yeah.
But I watched about, I don't know, probably 20 minutes into that, and I could not get into it. I could not get interested in it at all.
You know what? I did the same thing on the first show. The second show, I couldn't. I mean, I was like going, "What? What?
Well,
Are you kidding me? What?"
Here's the thing, and it's about time to go to break. But I think when you've been in this field for long enough, you watch those kind of shows, you're like, really?
Yeah.
Seriously? That's what you think? Nah. Yeah. Now, if you've never experienced the paranormal, if you've never researched the paranormal, oh my God, look at that. I don't know. What was that show we watched about Kentucky?
Hellier.
Yeah.
Hellier.
Oh God.
I found
hate
Hellier.
that show.
Dude,
That
I
was
fell
terrible.
asleep. I fell asleep during Hellier.
Now that is one I watched about 5 minutes of and went, no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And with
I'm
that
from
thought,
Kentucky, and I was like going, "They didn't contact me."
with that thought, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to go to our first break. Please enjoy Poltergeist by Cryptamnesia.
You are listening to S4 on Spreaker.com.
They say I'm evil, they say I'm dead inside. Check out my ego, cause I'm rotted here tonight. Just burn me like a witch, and watch as I catch fire. But I cannot die, I am your poltergeist. I must have 1,000 souls trapped inside. try to kill me, but I cannot die. You try to ignore me, but I haunt you deep inside. You keep trying to kill me, but I cannot die. You try to ignore me, but I haunt you deep inside. They say I'm evil, they say I'm dead inside. Check out my ego, 'cause I brought it here tonight. Just burn me like a witch, and watch as I catch fire, but I cannot die. I am your poltergeist. Poltergeist, poltergeist. Oh, poltergeist, poltergeist. Poltergeist, poltergeist. Oh, you're caving in, the loss of sleep keeps you obsessing on your pride. But in the end, you let me in. They say I'm evil, they say I'm dead inside. Check out my ego, 'cause I'm wanted here tonight. Just burn me like a witch, and watch as I catch fire, but I cannot die. I am your motherfucker. They say I'm evil, they say I'm dead inside. Check out my ego, 'cause I brought it here tonight. Just burn me like a witch, and watch as I catch fire, but I cannot die. I am your poltergeist. Poltergeist, poltergeist. Poltergeist, poltergeist. Oh, poltergeist, poltergeist. Poltergeist, poltergeist.
Welcome back to S4 with your host, Eric Cooper.
Welcome back to S4. Tonight we're talking what do we do about the paranormal after a pandemic. Tonight with us we have our normal crew. We have Barry Gaunt. We have Pam Frederberg. How are we doing tonight?
Yeah, perfect.
Got
All right.
We are all doing great. At least
I'm
I am.
stuffed.
I'm
I'm a little
happy
stuffed.
to be here.
So, we know UFOs and abduction has been on the rise during this pandemic. Do you think it's going to go like it's going now? Do you think they're going to come down more frequent to check on the aftermath?
I think abductions.
Or do you think they're going to slow down because everything's back to normal?
I think abductions will continue as normal, but I think UFO sightings will slow down.
Why do you think that?
Because I think as soon as this is over, people are going to stop looking up again.
Well, that's possible, but
No.
But the normal people looking up are still looking up.
That's true.
Yeah, but you got a lot of people looking up into the sky. Like, okay, so when all you can really do is go out on your balcony, especially in some of the little apartments and stuff that we have around, and look out in order to get your fresh air, in order to get out of your apartment, get something happening. So I think that with that going on, there's a lot more people just staring into the sky and gazing into the sky right now than there has been in a real long time.
True. But as a child, I've always looked up.
right, and I agree. You usually find not the numbers we have now, but right now is when the UFO reports do start going up a little bit because the weather's starting to get nicer. People are watching the skies more. During the wintertime,
I think that depends on the area.
it depends on the area. And obviously it depends on what the weather's doing. But what's your thoughts that, and this is a long stretch on a big branch, But what if this whole pandemic, it's not fake, I'm not saying that whatsoever, but what if it's being used or manipulated because it's happening to cover up something? That's the theory from some people. But do you think they're fighting their damnedest to keep disclosure away? All the governments of the whole planet are in chaos. I mean, we all heard about Brazil blaming China, and the Brazilian prime minister or president, whatever you call him, went and pointed fingers at China and told his whole country that it's all China's fault for doing a power play. You've got the Israeli prime minister telling everybody, "Oh my God, it's the end of the world," and they had an earthquake. You have all the governments around the world are all in complete turmoil over this. So you can't blame just one government. But what if it's the U.S. governments? They're taking advantage of the situation because we've all been waiting for disclosure to happen for the last 3-4 years. And now that maybe the aliens are actually, some of the races are actually going to come down and do something, they're taking the opportunity of the pandemic to panic people about pandemic and stay isolated because maybe there's a race that's coming here.
I really don't think so.
I don't either, but I had to throw it out there. What do you think, though, Barry?
In my opinion, possible. I look at it as a way of looking at, what's going to happen after this is over with. I think the UFO reports are going to continue to be high. There is something that is definitely happening here in the world, whether it's brought on by the world order, whether it's brought on by something. There is definitely something amiss. We are seeing the tectonic plates shift. We're seeing more earthquakes. We're seeing more things. It kind of does become biblical in a way. So there's a lot of different things that are happening out there. I think the paranormal is going to shoot off the roof. I think that it's already doing that. And I think when we get back to it, we're going to see some other interesting things. I think that they're going to be able to communicate with us more and more. I think we may find out that there may be we may discover that radiation may be more something that affects us more as paranormal investigators also. Call that a dream or whatever I had, or a vision. Right. From EMF or whatever. But there are a lot of unsettling things that are going on in the world.
Sorry.
Yes. No, that's fine.
Radiation spikes and everything going around. You guys know Chernobyl is on fire right now, right?
Yeah, if you live in Chernobyl, don't stay home.
Oh, honey.
Go home. Go away.
Living in Chernobyl.
Right. Well, and even some of these let's look at 5G. Even some of I saw a video just recently of people burning a 5G tower in Italy. Here in Kentucky, I drive down the street to, I go to Octane Hall still to make sure that's okay. We are closed and participating in the thing about if it's not needed, don't, even though it's a historical society and everything else. But I'm driving down the road, and all of a sudden, I go there maybe every day, or I'll go two or three times just to make sure everything's okay. And I'm looking off to the side, and I'm going, hey, when did they put that 5G tower over there?
Overnight.
Did they build that overnight? And that's the way it looks. And then there's odd things on telephone poles, more 5G towers and everything else. I'm like going, whoa, wait a minute.
Well, okay, so the problem with that, the problem I have with the whole 5G is so bad thing is people said the same thing when they brought out 3G.
Yeah, but we didn't have birds. We didn't have birds dying on the street with 3G.
Technically,
yes,
we did. We did.
Did we?
Yeah, but they verified that it wasn't from that. They're having issues verifying that it's not from 5G. That's the issue.
Okay.
Well, it depends on who. The way I look at those studies, it depends on who is doing the studies. And like we had bird deaths all over the place. We've had these things go on. We've had fish deaths. We've had all of it continually through these last few years. But the weird thing about it is that when we had 3G, the EMF was not near as high as it is when it's 5G. 5G's EMF is way much higher. And you know what? When you're exposed to EMF, exactly what happens, and that's the thing we need to look at, because it can cause hallucinations, it can cause headaches, it can cause sickness, it can cause all these things.
Oh, absolutely.
And as they're putting them up closer and closer, and they're using them, I mean, what the heck? And then you go to the SpaceX thing and you say, hey, is that going to be 5G, by the way?
That's the towers causing those, right?
Yeah.
Great. So we're going to have a bunch of drug addicts sitting around the towers looking for a hallucination.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
What were you going to say, Pam?
But my experience has been, because I have a lot of groups on Facebook, not everybody, a lot of people are thoroughly convinced the reason the coronavirus is here is because of the 5G. They don't believe it's from a man-made medicine or a bat or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
And it wasn't a man-made medicine. It was a bioweapon.
I've seen those.
And that's probably why they're burning the tower.
I've seen those reports. I've seen everything from it was 5G to almost, oh my God. That's why we did FEMA camps last week, because, all these people complaining because, oh my God, the National Guard's moving here. Yeah, they're helping. They're passing out food. They're working on,
Okay, I don't see where the coronavirus and 5G could have a connection.
No.
I don't either.
Just because of what it actually does to you. Okay?
Yeah.
So 5G isn't going to cause you to get pneumonia.
No.
It's not.
And one of the things about
5G doesn't give you a virus.
No, absolutely not.
Right. And it doesn't make you contagious to the next person. I mean,
right.
That's the tiger.
That's the thing. When you look at coronavirus and the 19 on the back of it, that means it's been modified 19 times by somebody. Right. It was a bioweapon, and it's been manipulated. So yes, there is a problem with someone who is manipulating it to get it to airborne. 19 was airborne, obviously, had to be. So that's just the thing to look at.
I thought it was the 19 because it was
found in 2019.
Well, that's okay. So that's what they say, and it depends on what you go by here. But if it was just COVID-19 without the dash in front of it, when they are actually working on biotechnology, you have -1, -2, -3, -4 to the end of everything.
Yes.
So that's where people are saying that this is a bioengineering is because of the dash.
But here's the thing.
But okay, go ahead, because I got a comment on that too.
Here's my argument with that. This virus mutates twice a month. All coronaviruses mutate twice a month.
Not entirely true.
But that doesn't mean you got to change the dash and change it 20, 21, 22, 23 each time it mutates. That doesn't mean it's any worse. But all colds mutate.
Well, from the data that I've been looking at, so your common influenza mutates about 50 times a year, 50 times a season. This one is a slower mutator, so it's only mutating at a rate of about 25 times.
Here's what scares me about this one. Is now we're 3 months into it here, because technically it started in October, November of 2019. But now it's taking over tigers.
But see, that's the thing is, okay, so the way that I look at the zoonotic jumps, okay, because that freaks me out, it really does, because once it goes from one species into another species, that's when you can have some real big issues, because there's other things within certain species that can mutate and mix with other things in certain species and go back to the original species. But I honestly just my own personal opinion. I don't know how other people feel about it or anything else. But me, honestly, I believe that this is a form of virus that we've had around forever. Okay, and I know that Corona, yeah, it is. It's a coronavirus. Corona's been around forever. But I believe this exact one has been around forever. And when we're talking about we've got birds dying in the air and we can't tell you why. Well, it must be 5G. Well, what did they die from? Have we dissected them and checked and looked at the fact that could they have possibly had respiratory issues just like the rest of us are having? Is this because it has actually been in the bird population from some bird owner, from somebody that threw out some bird seed and they ate it? Whatever it is.
Well, Dennis is commenting in the chat saying, COVID-19 was formerly known as 2019 novel coronavirus. Again,
coronavirus has been around for a long time.
It has. It's been around.
Yeah, just look at it every time that you pick up a darn can of Lysol, and you're going to see that it says fights. Yeah, it fights the coronavirus.
Yeah,
and what it is that we do know, and just like we've mentioned before on your show. I mean, go back and look at the bioweaponry of certain things, and every time it does change. And Ukraine is very big in this. People aren't looking at that, but when you look at it, the Geneva Convention keeps us from doing anything bioweapon. But the United States government set up a biolab actually in Ukraine to be able to deal with bioweapons and to be able to change them in certain ways. So they can beat the convention, and that's one of the ways that it is. And I'm sorry, people may not agree with that. They could argue about it, but the facts are that's been happening. That happens all the time with a virus. There are certain things that they do mutate, and they do. And you're right. The common cold changes all the time. That's why we always have to. And the flu changes. Mm-hmm. That's why they're supposed to say about viruses or whatever, and in your injections. We have to change this, we have to change that. So,
and I think that's the hard part. So many don't get is they compare this to the flu. This is, and they say, well, look at the statistics. So many thousand died during the flu season. Yeah, the flu season is 5 months long. This is. Yeah. We're talking thousands of deaths in at that point in time it was a 1 to 2 month period. You're talking way more deaths in a 1 to 2 month period versus flu during a 5 month season.
Not just that, but we also for you to die of the flu, you have to have some pretty substantial health conditions.
Oh, absolutely.
Not necessarily.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, you do.
Most people do. Yes, and most people that do die of it that never really had an underlying condition, it's because it just wasn't one that they'd actually gone to the doctor to get verified as an underlying condition.
Whereas this one is now killing off healthy people.
Yeah,
yes.
It's not just early right now.
So, the numbers aren't comparable. I really don't care that smoking kills this many people every year. That has nothing to do with this. I don't care that vehicular accidents kill this many people each year. Who the hell cares? That is not what this is about. Stay the hell home and get over it.
That's all they got to do. It's not, and the other ones that kill me are they're violating my constitutional rights. No, they're not. They're trying to save lives. Now, if you don't care about it, great. But think about the people that you're transmitting the virus to. That's what you got to think about. But these are the same people that don't care if they transmit the virus to other people because they only care about themselves and their constitutional rights. That's all they care about.
Well, I love the fact that everybody, when something like this happens, everybody throws out their constitutional rights. Mm-hmm. Okay? Because they do it every time we have anything go on to where we have to call an emergency declaration or anything like that. Somebody somewhere is always like, hey, you are messing with my constitutional rights. Okay? Yet, you do not exercise 90% of your constitutional rights on a regular basis. Yet, when something happens to where they might take one away that you typically don't exercise in the first place, Now it becomes a huge issue to you because, oh my God, you took it away from me. Now I don't have the possibility to use something I've never used.
Right.
Okay, and that's when you start getting a whole bunch of people that have never been into politics, that don't have a party, that don't study or listen to what's actually coming out of people's mouth versus what they've heard other people say has come out of somebody's mouth. Well, that's when you get this whole grouping of people that go, oh, he said this, and that's why this is happening, and this is why this is happening. And then you get that whole fake news thing that everybody keeps talking about, where everybody twisting everything and everything else, and it's just a vicious cycle of hate.
Here's the issue with that. Like, the thing is, when the Constitution was written, people's rights were truly undetermined. They had no idea what their rights were.
They created the rights at that point in time.
Yeah, but the normal person had no idea what their actual rights were in this country.
No.
Mm-hmm.
But every person at that point knew what their freaking responsibilities were.
Mm-hmm.
That's the part we lost.
I have a question for you guys.
Okay, go ahead.
If and when, well, they will, make a vaccine for the COVID-19, how many of you guys are going to take it?
Hell yeah.
And will you guys let anybody test you for it? The reason I'm asking is because I have underlying health conditions.
Right.
I have emphysema, COPD, asthma, among other health conditions. This could kill me. It will kill me if I get it.
Right.
I tell my husband, go in the other bedroom or roll over. I don't even want to. Don't kiss me. Don't touch me. Take a shower, and then you can hug me.
Right.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's how safe I'm trying to be.
Oh, absolutely.
Pam,
But the point
everyone
is,
on
if they
your...
try to test us with a nasal swab, and I believe they're doing blood now too, I don't know.
Yes, they are.
There's so much back and forth with it, I can't keep track of it. But if they test us with a nasal swab, how do we know they're not shoving coronavirus up our nose? This is the government. Do you trust them? I don't.
I do, as far as that goes. I mean, because I actually heard a conspiracy theory that I can't remember where I can't even. You probably read the same one because I'm in about 120 different groups, give or take. So I see it all. I hate seeing half of it because half of it's so full of crap. There's no founding for it. But I actually saw a conspiracy theory that there is no COVID. So COVID was man-made, and it started in China, but nobody had it in China. The people went to the hospital and they were given COVID in the hospital, and they're the ones who died, and that's where the numbers came from. And I'm like, are you serious? Oh, hell no. It just, and I'm a conspiracy theorist to an extent, but I actually research and do fact-checking before I say, yep, it's a conspiracy. But if I can prove it, then it's not a conspiracy anymore.
Well, I will tell you what I
started friending Chinese friends just to find out information, what was going on.
Absolutely.
Okay, so here's what I'll tell you from my perspective here, because I'm in the same boat you are there. I have had a lot of medical issues, tons of medical issues, actually. And to be honest, I had to actually leave my job due to that, because I did work in an essential service, but I did leave because it was too much for me to handle, and if I get this, I'm gonna die. That's just what it is, or I have a very, very big possibility of. Every time that they have come out with a new vaccine, people are scared of the vaccine. They believe that it's going to cause other issues. They believe that it's going to give them the original, whatever it was they were trying to block out in the first place. Every vaccine in history has had a lot of people hating on it, going, I don't think that I'm going to do that. And we have a subculture of non-vacciners and all that kind of stuff.
The vaxxers annoy me.
Yes. So
I don't take vaccines. They cause autism.
Is like, look at the polio vaccine, for instance.
Right.
Okay, polio was terrible. It affected so many people, it was insane. And now we have gotten to the point where it's nearly damn eradicated because of the fact that there was a vaccine that was given freely to the people for that specific reason. I have no problem once. I will not go right now. Not a chance in the world would I go right now if they came out tomorrow and they said, we have a vaccine for this, you should all come and get this right now. There is no way I would do that until I had at least a month of data on the people that had taken it.
Absolutely. I'm not. No, it's going to be tested for a while before I'm going to jump out and say, yep, okay, they're healthy. I'll go get it now.
However, I would definitely take it if it was proven to work.
Yeah. Then
absolutely I would go and take that.
And, just like the hydrochloroquine that they're trying to tell everybody to take. I'm sorry. In Somalia, we were taking primaquine. We were taking mefloquine. No. The side effects are far worse than that's going to ever cure. To the point that the CIA actually stopped their field agents from taking the Queen family because it causes psychosis. It was causing psychiatric breakdowns, like to the extent of violent behavior. No, I'm sorry. Domestic violence and murders aren't a good risk for taking anything from the Queen family.
Now, with it coming, with the part of it coming from the government, here's the thing: you got to look at it from. Think of yourself as the government. In what way would that make sense for them to create a virus, start giving it to people, and then drop $2.2 trillion in one bill to help the country get over it? And now they're looking at doing another round of that bill. They're doing
Think about the Georgia Guidestones, though.
There you go. Now we're talking.
But you know what?
But, okay, when has there ever been a bill of $2.2 trillion signed of relief?
It's made up money. They don't care.
There is no such thing as made up money.
Did they kill and they don't have to pay disability or unemployment or food stamps or Medicare or Medicaid to them people? They're making money, actually, by killing them.
Yeah, the thing about it
There's
is
not
when you
enough
look at all this.
to actually equal out $2.2 trillion. Not even close. There won't be.
Well, the biggest thing about it is how far are we? What everybody forgets is what we were in debt.
Maybe
we were already in debt trillions of dollars. We'll never be able to get out of debt.
No,
we haven't been out of debt in forever.
That's why they make money.
Yeah, it is actually a made-up money. All they do is they tax our money. We pay for everything that they are doing or giving. And the other part about it is that, look at what has been going on around the world. First of all, I'll answer your question. I would not take the vaccine. I'm sorry. That's just the way that I am. And I do believe that there is a battle going on in this world about the Bilderbergers. There is something going on with the world, with Bill Gates and this world virus and all this other stuff. But there is also this thing that's going, look at what happened. I mean, the things that you don't get to see in the news, and this is where I get with Project Mockingbird. And believe me, folks, if you don't believe what I'm saying, go research Project Mockingbird. But when you look at it and you say, okay, this is very strange. The UN tried to go world currency last week. They had a thing on the floor that they wanted to go into one world currency. All right, they wanted. Are we going to go back in the gold standard? What happens when they're talking about lowering the interest rate? Do you know what happens when you lower the interest below zero? The banks charge you for everything that you do. They charge you for holding your money.
Okay, so
they charge you everything. It's always set up for something in a large business. There is that kind of thing that's going on. We will never be able to pay back trillions of dollars. It never comes back. It never does that. You know.
But Barry, that's the one conspiracy I can somewhat get on board with.
Oh, absolutely.
Is the one world government aspect, because what have they done? They've basically, essentially crumbled every government, every country with this virus. Did they do it?
Exactly.
I don't think so. I think it was a natural virus. I think it was a natural occurrence. I think they took advantage of it. That was the milestone that they needed to actually start getting countries, minus the United States, to actually work together to an extent. You're not seeing it with Brazil, because Brazil's blaming China. You're seeing there's one other country that's blaming China too, wasn't there?
Trump.
Yeah.
No, I'm not even talking about Trump.
Yeah. Well, everybody.
I
mean, just look at the people people who hate Trump and have hated him forever are doing anything to be able to get rid of him, to destroy him or anything else. So, I mean, there is the Trump part is always involved in it. I don't care what, no matter how you're going to look at it.
Oh, yeah.
Conspiracy wise or not, you've got to put that into play, because there has just been too much crazy stuff going on. Look, we are
Trump's
being.
saying it's the Wuhan virus or the
Yeah.
China virus, whichever.
I think he referred to it as the Kung Flu at one point.
Yeah. Well,
I'm okay with that.
No, I'm just saying, like, if we're going to go off of the weird name.
That's how China and the United States got in an argument.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
No.
China and the United States got in an argument the day that the United States became the United States.
Trump's caused
let's
too
look
many
at
arguments
I don't think he's the cause
has
of
anybody
that.
watched Korea?
What?
What's going on with Korea?
North or south?
North and South do not have the virus.
Oh, yes, they do.
Okay, there has so they have.
We have a lot of military in South Korea that actually have coronavirus.
Yeah, and they are taking the same precautions everyone else is. North Korea has nothing, though. It's sunshine and rainbows.
But you know what?
Right, yeah, sunshine and rainbows.
That's because
remember, he said, "Oh, by the way, we're going to have the United States is going to have a big surprise, and the world's going to have a big surprise coming up." Back in 2019, when he said that, but who knows? There's a lot of things in play. But I can tell you right now, there are people that want to run an agenda, and they will do anything to run that agenda. And, those are the things that there is a thing about fighting for your freedom. There is a certain thing that it's doing with just all this stuff. And we do have evil entities. And yes, Pinky in the Brain does exist somewhere in the world, And no matter what you're going to do, there are people that want to wipe out the world, get us to do lower everybody's. They want everybody in the world to be equal on their pay, everything else. So it's just that way. But I also want to go back to the 5G thing just for a second, and we're talking about paranormal and what happens to the paranormal. As we all know, paranormal and entities and all entities and everything feed off of high EMF. And we do know that these things do produce extremely high EMF. It's been proven. So if you're, as a paranormal investigator and also UFO enthusiast, everything else, I would assume, and again, assumption makes an ass out of you and me, but at the same time, I'm going to say that as the EMF is being spiked up all over the world, plus the magnetic stuff that's happening in the ground and everything else right now, you're going to see a lot of paranormal.
Oh, yeah. No, I will definitely agree with that one. I believe that anytime that we have major natural disasters, you see a spike in that area. In the paranormal.
Here's what puzzles me, though. We know that malevolent entities are drawn to chaos. They're drawn to negativity. What do we have right now? We have chaos and heavy negativity around the entire planet. I have not seen a spike in hauntings. Have you?
Well, here's the bad thing about it is, how will we know? Because nobody is calling us to say, "Hey, will you come over to my house?"
No, you're
that's the
absolutely
number one
right.
thing.
But I'm you know, even so, Forest Moon Paranormal is the voice of S4, and I'm used to seeing, even though we disbanded the team, I'm still used to seeing people asking for help because they get responses in the group. I don't see people asking for help in the group anymore. I don't see like I used to.
3 this week.
3 this week?
3 this week.
Yeah, but that's low. You know that. Those are low numbers.
That's low. No,
are.
that's not. Because that's 3 posts this week. You're not seeing the individual messages anymore, but that's because there's nothing you can do for them, and that's what that's their thought process. You can't come to their house. You can't send a team to their house. What the hell are you going to do?
I still,
100%
I don't see a spike. I see more about UFOs.
I don't think there's a spike. I think it's normal.
Well,
I think it's still normal.
So on the normal side of emergency management of paranormal, yes, 10 cases a day was our normal.
Yes, I
So
do.
that's what I see as a normal response: 10 cases a day.
But I will say, since the team has disbanded,
Right.
or even our posts of people looking for help has went down on Forest Moon.
Okay. But I don't see people. So I don't see people asking for help in other groups like I used to.
Neither do
read
I.
it.
No, but I honestly believe that is part of social distancing.
So
I agree with you 100% with that. I am 100% behind that. People just do. I mean, we have got cases, and they're going, "Hey, look, I want you to come over and check out my restaurant. The restaurant's closed, but I still can't go in there." And it's really bizarre.
Most of the people asking are not investigators themselves. They're not normally part of Forest Moon Paranormal. They're new ones coming in.
Right.
That has been the norm since you've made me a moderator.
Mm-hmm.
They're new people who are coming in, and they immediately ask their question. They ask for help.
Yeah.
So those ones, where do they see that they can find an investigator? It always starts with pop culture. They start with movies. All of our movies, no one comes in as a team like Forest Moon did.
Right.
On the movies. That's I have never seen a movie that showed what you did.
Well, they're calling their local priest.
Yeah.
They're calling
And I'll tell you, we have a priest on our team, and look, the Vatican and everything else is increasing. They're trying to get more people to go into demonology, be able to deal with other stuff because they are seeing such a spike in it. The churches are seeing spikes in it. All the stuff that's happening.
That is
the
such propaganda. That is such bullshit. Dude, demons are rare. You know that.
The only reason the Catholic Church would suggest people to go into demonology is if they found an artifact having to do with their own religion that they need handled. And let's say they found a dig site. If they found a dig site, they would ask for students of demonology. They would ask for a spike in them.
Oh, spoken like a true Catholic. Ah, God.
Why would they ask for Do you know how hard it is to actually get an exorcist from the Catholic Church? Why would they ask for more?
No, it is insane. It is insanity. It is insanity to be able to get an exorcist. But you know what? The thing about it is that there are people out here that do this stuff. We do it. But unfortunately, what we're seeing is that, yes, there are, we are seeing cases and people asking us questions and everything else and saging and everything else. But heck, even the places that you would want to send them to say, hey, get some sage and do some stuff. I mean, you're going to have to buy it online, and you have to have it shipped, and you have to do that. And you can't go into any of these places now. I mean, there's so many things that are going to be changing and so many different stuff because people cannot survive without being able to make money and be able to do that. They can't keep the stores open. They can't pay the rent. They can't do all the other stuff. But what we're seeing is that they don't want us to come over and sit in their living room.
No.
Right. Like going, hey, and besides that, you are actually truly, I mean, if I take a team of 5 or 6 people in there, or if I take 3 of them over there and I'm going there, what am I doing? I'm actually exposing myself to whatever the hell's in there.
That's true.
I don't know what the family's doing. I don't know if they have these things. So we all have to kind of take a look and say, look, the teams help. We have a family, and and Forrest is a family. You guys were a family. And you protect your people, I mean, that's all there is to it. We make decisions for those type things. But, I personally think that it's going to be more and more and more stronger and stronger, and we're going to be super busy. The only bad thing about it is I'm more concerned about people not getting the correct type, because every other paranormal team that's out there is going to be able to, they'll be grabbing onto anybody to be coming over to their house, and then they're going to have more trouble because there's so many people out in this field that don't do it right.
And then you have the other side that some of us were smart and were preppers, and we went and bought dry storable food, and we went and bought the necessities like sage that you mentioned. I have some.
Mm-hmm.
And people bought guns and ammo. Do you think they want to invite you over? And then there's no food, because guess what? Margaret and I were on eBay before the show. Okay, I wanted to order some more seeds from a place that I order them yearly. They are gone off of eBay now.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Put up a post. Michigan is not allowing anybody to buy seeds.
Right.
Okay. And I've got tons of seeds, but am I going to invite someone to my house and say, hey, look at all the shit I got? And have them, when my husband isn't home, clobber me over the head or shoot me and take everything? Once this is over, you guys will probably get more people contacting you. But until then, you got two factors. You got the coronavirus and people not wanting you in their houses. Multiple reasons.
And that's right. So I know Territorial Seed, and I can't remember what state they're in, but Territorial Seed sent out an email to everybody saying they aren't taking any more orders because it's a family-run business. And they just don't have the manpower for one. They're running out of seeds. Everybody is flooding them with seed orders. The other two companies I go through are Farmer Seed and Garden and Burpee. No, not Burpee. Burpee. And I've had no problem with them as far as supply goes. But you're absolutely right. People need to get more self-sustaining. And I hate using the term preppers, but people need to be more prepared.
Okay, so as far as paranormal, my biggest issue that I'm going to have after all this is over is you're going to have a lot of desperate family members that didn't get to go to the hospital, that didn't get to say goodbye, that didn't get any of this stuff, that are going to be contacting every... I'm going to say it like this. Every one of those fake shyster psychics. Okay?
Oh, yeah.
You are going to see these people making bank off of other people's misery and straight up just Miss Cleo-ing them.
Miss Cleo going to be busy.
Yep.
Oh, you're going to see that spike.
And you are going to see so many people taken advantage of because of that.
Well, the biggest point that you could say is just go ahead and say, hey, look, if anybody is trying to charge you money for a service that people that really want to help you, run away from them. If they're going to charge you a service, run.
But at the same point, when you are so desperate to see that person or to hear that person or to say goodbye to that person, you aren't thinking clearly. You're in a state where you can very easily be taken advantage of by somebody that mentioned something that they saw on one of your social media posts 2 years ago. Because these fake people, they go out there and they do their damn research on a person first. They aren't going in blind. They know everything about you, everything about your ancestry, everything about what your uncle wore to last Christmas dinner because there was a picture on your ex-husband's mother's page. Okay?
Right.
Like, they know everything going in. And they are going to convince you because you are in such a desperate need to see or hear from that person that they're actually contacting the other side. We are going to have a lot of people losing a lot of money over fake prediction.
I agree with that. I don't believe we're going to have as many in-home investigations as we're thinking. Not immediately after, for the reason that everyone is going to be like, okay, here's the steel spirit. You have the house for the next 2 weeks. We're leaving.
We're going to discuss that in the third hour a little more as far as what do we see coming up. But Dennis has a good question. He wonders how many report, quote, coronavirus ghosts will be after this pandemic. And, that's a good question. But honestly, a spirit's not going to tell you, I'm a corona ghost.
No. I think what he's talking about is the fact that
the spike in them.
Let's say one of your family members passed. Okay. Mm-hmm. So you know that they passed of corona, and then you have something come into your house and start moving stuff around or saying that they're that person. I think what he's trying to say is that the coronavirus ghosts, like people that you would already know, were...
Right. And Jennifer asked, what paranormal entity would cause you to awaken one day with an insatiable compulsion to learn something to its fullest?
I think she means compulsion.
Compulsion.
Okay. And that's common with abduction. That's actually common with abductees, is that, you have some abductees that want to learn everything there is to know about UFOs, or they do the flip side, and they're terrified of UFOs and want nothing to do with it.
Now, that could also be your own mind.
It could be.
There are certain things where if you go to sleep and you're contemplating something, and let's say you kind of connect into that...
Yeah, I think I've met someone like that.
Cosmic consciousness or whatever you believe in.
Right.
And it pushes you down a different path of thought onto something. Well, when you wake up, you subconsciously take in all that crap. So when you wake up, you're like, hey, I wonder how that works. And you go into figuring it out.
And, I'm thinking about the other fields. You won't find that. Not off topic at all, Jennifer. You don't find that with the Bigfoot or cryptid side. You don't find that really with the haunting side. Not waking up. Now, you have a haunting in your home. Yes, you have an insatiable appetite to study it. That's but you don't wake up from it. And the only one that you wake up from is, generally speaking, the UFO side.
Okay, now Jennifer,
I would say there is a small amount of people that do that,
maybe.
And she's sitting right beside you.
That's a different
one. You don't have to worry about that. I wake up with the insatiable interest of knowledge in any form. But what are you talking about here, Jennifer? Are you talking about like waking up and wanting to learn how to play the piano the best way you know how? Or are you talking about waking up and wanting to get into a paranormal field for some reason? Or like mathematics, any of that kind of stuff?
You usually find that. So, and we've talked about this years ago on the show, but, the ones that sit and watch paranormal TV every day, all the time. Those are the ones that say, hey, John and Bill, let's get together and start investigating ghosts. Or let's be a Ghostbuster. And that's usually where that comes from.
Right.
And it's such a pain. It's a pain because these are the same people that they take all their knowledge and information and all their equipment from, I'm not going to say any names, but a paranormal TV show.
Ghost Detectors. Never mind.
And then they go in and destroy a case. Hands down.
Yeah, well, let me kind of go into what Jennifer's talking about. I have seen a few people lately who have contacted me and wanted to know about certain things, and it seems like that there is some people that have been, let's say, awakened to the fact that there is a consciousness out there, that they have a something that is good. They need to look into the history and the past, into ancient gods and other things else because of this battle. And those are the people that are supposed to awaken, ascend to a higher level for teaching purposes and other things when certain things happen. And I totally believe in that.
Okay, so you're talking like the cosmic awakening.
Yes, exactly.
Right.
And that can be the same thing. You know, when you're doing that in the Akashic field and some of the things that are happening in that plane, there are going to be people that are awakened to fight the battle and to help other people understand and do that kind of stuff.
She clarified. And she's saying it's not paranormal. She'll wake up with a compulsion for quilting, computers, psychology, food every few years.
My first thought was abduction.
Right. All right.
But just thinking about that, could that also be an entity pushing its own interests on you?
Maybe not its own interest. What if it's an entity, and this is only a theory, but what if it's an entity that was a prepper? What if it was a spirit that was a prepper? And whether they're a spirit or not, they can still, depending on what kind of spirit it is, if it's a stuck spirit, say, they're still within this realm. They're not passed over, so they haven't changed. But if they're stuck here, for example, and they see what's going on here, they see pandemic, they see chaos. So they are going to, try to help some of them, not all. But maybe they are trying to help the living.
No, you know what? Okay, I honestly, I don't believe that is paranormal related at all. But I would honestly go for more of a cosmic consciousness there. Something that is a compulsion to want to go and do something that you've never done before, because of the fact that you either, while you were sleeping, especially if it happens right after you've woken up,
right?
While you were sleeping, you got into your subconscious, and let's say your grandmother used to always want to teach you how to quilt or something of that, and you never actually learned how to do it. Well, maybe, everybody dreams and everybody has these thoughts that come in and everything. And very rarely do you remember what happened in your dream when you wake up from it. So it could be an experience that you've never had, or somebody in your dream taking you through something.
Generational spirit.
When you do wake up, you go, well, I think I'm going to learn how to do this today.
Yeah.
And it might seem like it's coming from nowhere, but nothing that we do comes from nowhere.
Right.
Well,
go ahead, Barry.
I'm going to look at the Akashic field and go with that and be more that's I've got to say that I believe in that.
The Akashic records.
And yes, and what happens is just look at the things that you get. I mean, through history. We have Tesla doing radio, and then we also see Marconi doing it at the same time. They always get these certain things. Everything that we have ever seen, or everything that's the telephone, the same thing. There's, two people get this idea or whatever. They shoot this idea out. It may come out to a lot of different people, but they don't move on it, and someone will move on it. Mm-hmm. There may be something on something's mind that they get and they don't do it. But other people get it and they do it. And you're always going to see that. And that is what, in every one of the people who are the Einsteins, the Teslas, and everything else, what do they all say? They all say that they were communicating or got this vision from some other spot. It came into their mind.
The one that I always go to on that is Ramanujan. Okay?
Yes.
Somebody that had no formal training at all, and is all of a sudden able to do the most complex mathematical equations that we've ever seen.
Yes, exactly.
So with the Akashic records, and I'm going to be hated by some for this, but there are two sets of Akashic records. One set, anyone can achieve through meditation. That's your basic Akashic records. Everyone's got an Akashic record. That's your Akashic record that tells your past lives, what you've done, things like that. There's another set of Akashic records that nobody can get to. There are guardians for those Akashic records. Only deities can access those. But your normal Akashic records, yes, so that can be where some of your subconscious thought could come from.
And see, that's where I get into the mindset of, well, it's exactly what you guys are saying, but I call it your cosmic consciousness. Okay,
right, and that's where your Akashic records come from.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I agree. It is our cosmic consciousness, but also there are other libraries, other things that are out there that have been kept and always in there, and they are accessed by. There are gates, there are portals, there are all different kinds of things. And only certain people can go through those gates. And that is divinely given. Or let's say if you go back to how many lives you've had or where you've been and who you were, and you're dealing with all that stuff, I think that's a big play in all that. Of what kind of information you can get. So, when you're dealing with the subconscious versus the conscious mind, it's two different things. I mean, the subconscious mind is open to all of it. I mean, you pull all your things, anything, so. But there are so many different records, not only Akasha records, there are so many different records and so many different things that are out there that play into it, so.
Absolutely.
Definitely. That is honestly one of my biggest rabbit holes. Okay.
Yeah.
I get sucked into that one rabbit hole constantly. So.
Yeah. Yeah, that is a big rabbit hole.
Eric.
Yeah.
How long are we going to be on here?
We have another hour.
My friend I was telling you about earlier, Starchild.
Okay.
Or Starseed. She just came on Skype. She got home. She'd like to join us if she could.
Outstanding. We will have her on the last hour, and with that, we do have. It is time for our last break. So when we come back, we'll get her back in.
Okay.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, here is Cryptamnesia with Hell Within.
You are listening to S4 on Spreaker.com.
Welcome back to S4 with your host, Eric Cooper.
Welcome back to S4. It's been a great night tonight. We're talking everything paranormal after pandemic. And tonight we got the normal crew, Cole, Kayla, myself, Barry, Pam, and Starseed just joined us for the last hour. So how are we all doing? Got your coffee and everything?
Just as good as I was at the beginning of the show.
Yep, I'm still here, but I might have to.
Oh, of course
coffee
you are.
is looking kind of. I didn't get an extra cup. Dang. Ooh.
It's S4 night.
I
How
got
are you
my
doing?
ginger
Just
ale.
as good.
You got ginger ale?
I mean,
That's a refreshing drink.
Oh, that is.
Oh, yeah, I need
I
coffee.
can't do coffee.
It's getting cold.
I only do ginger ale when I'm sick.
Hot ginger ale when you're sick.
Oh, yeah. Ew.
And for our listeners, it looks like we will be on Into the Fire on Tuesday night with Barry on the 21st.
Yeah.
So I'll make sure we get links and information into the FMP group. So if you're listening and you're not familiar with Forest Moon Paranormal, you make sure you jump into the group because that's where all the S4 information goes.
Yep, and we were looking forward to that night. It'll be a fun night.
It will be.
Pew,
Yeah, I'm getting tongue twisted. So
Starseed.
Starseed. So what's your experience been as far as since we've all been in this pandemic and social isolation? Have you seen UFOs or anything?
I've just seen a few crafts in the air many times. I've been on them multiple times.
And you see it increasing in the last 3 weeks? Or do you see
It
it
has.
normal?
It's normal, a little bit increase in areas, what's been going on throughout the world, certain events, and what's been going on.
Do you have any
Are you
idea
in
why?
Stellar?
Well, first of all, the genetic lab, we're talking about release the biogenetic virus is created man-made, and fortunately kind of got a few of the others concerned because combining certain viruses could fit man to man. It just that's like dangerous at a level because it might cause a lot of issues, and a lot of others experienced this a long time ago, have done a few things and learned. So this is like a learning a lesson. We cannot just mess with certain stuff and trying to control nature. It will backfire and cause what we're somewhat having now.
Okay.
No, I definitely agree with you on that one. Anybody who tries to control the force of nature is going to have a real hard time with that because she is not a controllable beast.
So
Are you still in California?
Yes, I'm in California.
Yeah. And so here's my concern because we see an increase. The tornadoes are ripping through the southeast. We've got the pandemic. We've seen you don't hear so much about it, but we know earthquakes are still happening.
Volcano erupting in Indonesia.
Yeah, but what concerns me being here is even when we did our 2020 show, we were talking Nostradamus predicted the Cascadia subduction zone was going to go off in 2020.
Sorry.
I'm still waiting for it.
Oh, Nostradamus.
Yeah.
Oh, me and him have some differentiating
Oh
opinions
no,
on that.
I agree, but this would be the year 2020. We have a pandemic.
Yeah, there's a
Everyone's
lot
in
of
social
changes.
isolation, and now all of a sudden here comes the seduction zone.
Okay,
A lot of
I'm gonna
the
do that.
changes has something to do with Earth, plates move and change, lava tubes expand and grow. It doesn't help, but some people use certain tech, controlling the weather, especially when you're having kind of nano.
Mm-hmm.
And when people do that, it's causing very strange stuff going on. And they can't all control it. It causes a lot of issues.
Well, how do they put that? The old saying, you don't mess with perfection. Well,
Yeah. Yeah, that's a thing because certainly people play with certain technology. A lot of it's like double-edged, so we have to be really careful working with certain things so you could use it for good. But when you're turning it as a weapon, it's going to cause a lot more issues.
And that's my issue. And Barry, you being in the Southeast, I know you haven't been hit by the tornadoes yet. This is tornado season, but it's starting late.
I've been there. There when I visit my family in New Jersey, bury my mom. Oh, I run the 3 tornadoes. That's not fun.
No.
Yeah, the tornadoes here.
Oh, it was like so many close calls, and you just like book it to a safe place. We're like, okay, we're all here. That's the first time ever in my life.
When you look at the tornadoes and everything else, and like I said, I'm about 50 miles north of Nashville. Nashville had a devastating F3 and F4 tornado, depending on what area you were, go through Nashville and out towards the east through several counties. That left a 3/4 mile wide devastation for 90 miles. And then as they're trying to deal with this, then we have the corona virus attack that comes in also. So it's been a very hard time here. Storms, and we are in the Midwest and around Kentucky and everything else. April always brings the most tornadoes activity here, and we've had storm warnings this week. From looking at the news that I've seen, the weather forecast for next week, it's just going to be kind of cool, and we don't have too much threat this week. But you're always playing with it when you're in this month, and you never know what may happen. The funny thing about it is when you're talking about going back to abductees, I've had a lot of abductees saying to me that 2020 was supposed to be just a terrible a year. They've said, hey, look, 2020 is going to be this way. We're going to have a lot of things because of the fact that there are people playing and manufacturing weather, doing these things. Chemtrails come into play and come into mind when I think about it. The nanotechnology that's out there is also very scary, and it is used for. It has a good purpose. It also has a very negative purpose. And unfortunately, there's a lot of people that want to use it for negative purposes. We can suffer a lot because of that. And that gets back into the people who are the Georgia Guidestones and the Bilderbergers and that world order type ordeal.
Right.
Order.
And most of the abductees are very against that. They are like going, hey, that's not the way that it's supposed to be. The people that have contacts, some of the people that we consider to be starseeds, star children, and everything else are talking about that, and and I believe you're going to see more star children born. More and more, and personally, I've met quite a few of them that are extremely intelligent, that are 6 years old, and they're 40. I can't believe it. I mean, it's just amazing some of the stuff that they have. There's a good and bad. I gotta say something. Something came up to me. Someone mentioned California. I saw something. Someone sent me a real deal. It was an advertisement, and just to show you how nasty things are. There's been a lot of talk about certain satanic cults and so forth like that, and grabbing children and missing people and all of this stuff. Well, I was sent an advertisement. Actually, this is a true restaurant in California. I'm not going to go too deep into it. People can look for it and everything else. That is actually serving, that's for the elite, and they are serving, it's cannibalism.
Right.
They are serving human food, humans as food.
I hope they're not infected with the coronavirus.
Yeah, I'm just like going.
Good.
Hey, that's pretty damn ballsy when you start advertising like that.
Yeah, it is.
It's a human drive-through.
They don't care what they do anymore. I mean, the Bilderbergers are all out in the open.
Yes, they are.
Well, that's why they said that Washington had wooden teeth. Is because he was a cannibal.
You could even Google it.
Or else the vampiric energy is coming back very strong. The resurrection.
Right.
You could even Google Illuminati, and you can actually bring up an Illuminati website. And of course, it's not like what we know the Illuminati is. They say, we're the light bringers, and you come and join us. And then I actually started getting messages from the Illuminati wanting me to join the Illuminati. It's like, no, you're not the right one. Yeah, never mind.
Right. Well, that's like the Brotherhood of Light. A lot of people get confused with that. There is there's been many talk about for many years about the Brotherhood of Light or the White Brotherhood or whatever.
That's why I linked to Atlantis one time, like when it's done a Brotherhood of Light. That's where that part came through.
Yes.
In the time period. But also, when man eats man, some people don't realize there's certain factors, and they can't control their body. Their body will shake, a little bit unstable. They crave a lot more. It's like taking blood from the people who are fear, and it's more like a high into them.
Yes, it's like an adrenaline rush for them.
It's an ancient form. It's an ancient form of a ritual that has been done and taught to them. And certain other beings are not as friendly or more a dark pattern.
Yes, exactly. I agree with that 100%.
So, but the problem is it destroys the body later. It's a heavy price for certain things when they do something like this.
Yes.
So it is. I'm going to throw this out there. Personally, I think the tornadoes are a natural occurrence because it's a season. But you've got some out there that are going to say, oh, it's HAARP-induced. Look, the government's controlling it through HAARP. What's your thoughts about that, Barry?
It's funny. The HAARP program has been around for many, many years, Right. And I've seen so many different things. I personally don't see it as HAARP. I think that there are more areas that are after weather modifications and doing things to control the weather. I don't believe it is actually HAARP. We've seen a lot of radar activity through the weather channels and everything else. You can go back and look at it for years about HAARP. I don't know what HAARP is actually doing right now because I think that HAARP is kind of shut down.
I don't think they shut it down, but I don't think they're using it right now.
Right, exactly. That's what I mean.
There was a tornado about 20 miles from where I live at my mother's church up where we used to live near my brother's house. So
right,
but
I don't think they're using it right now.
Yeah, there is all kinds of different ways. I mean, it's just like Project Spice. When Project Spice came up, the United States was involved in that. We were working on that, but all of a sudden now that basically became a European type thing, and they still do it to make snow. They do all that kind of do that, and you can actually trace it. I mean, they are doing weather modifications to do this type of things. A long time ago, a few years back, we had the snow that would not melt or burn, and you could burn it. I remember that.
Yes.
That is the plastic. That it has a plastic in it. And that is actually harming the crops and everything else that involved with it, and also us. So there's a lot of freaky things that are going on that are run by a dark secret government, and that money is wherever that money is going. Hopefully that they're taking that money to excuse me.
2.3 trillion.
That money to yeah.
But the problem is most of the money goes to secret space force. that I
Right.
know.
Well, that's another interesting thing. You know, when
the
you
other
put-
part is for their
Right.
dirty deeds, the wars, bribery. It's another thing how they do as well. The other thing
if
what
they
he did
keep
in
messing with
Paradise,
everything the way that they've been messing with it, then I'm really hoping that a lot of that money goes to Space Force because they're going to have to build us a new damn planet.
Has no one ever told any of you guys how a tornado actually starts?
Huh?
It's two
Isn't
men
it
walking
the
in
temperature
opposite
change?
directions and they both fart.
there you go. Yeah.
That's what Grandpa used to tell me.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
but the thing that I have known is that we are seeing more once in a lifetime occurrences than we have in a long time. Okay,
That's what's weird.
so today in Mississippi, they saw what's called a once in a lifetime tornado, and it was two F5s. Two F5 tornadoes that were within 35 miles of each other following roughly the same path.
Right.
Okay. Now, that does not typically happen. That never actually, since we've started categorying and collecting data on tornadoes, happened.
It makes you wonder what hurricane season has for us to look forward to.
Actually, I've actually been doing some
well-
research on the hurricane season here. And this year we're supposed to get some massive hurricanes.
And I believe hurricane season starts in June.
It's
June-
supposed to, somewhere right around there.
June
yeah.
through December.
But we're supposed to have 4 catastrophic hurricanes this year.
Oh, wonderful. Oh.
Well, you know, if you're looking at it from the conscious ability, and you look at it some different things, whether you're religious or not, or you're looking at end days or whatever. Hey, when those seals are opened up, guess what? Things happen.
Exactly.
And I mean, it was written a long time ago. It's been prophesized forever, you know. And no matter what you do to it, no matter what you say to it, you can look at it and go, "Whoa, yeah, we haven't seen these things before because maybe we're not supposed to until the end." Who knows?
Well, and that's what they say is that everything that has ever been written, everything that has ever been learned, has come from somewhere. Like
Yes.
we don't just pull stuff out of nothing. We are creative, but we're not that creative. Our brains don't do that.
no.
So
See, long ago, others, different areas to teach man. Then when man changed a few things and wrote it certain ways.
Yes, correct.
Absolutely.
It was
So, I mean,
changed,
like-
it was changed by man for man. Yes.
yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
the others taught the man certain knowledge and then do a few things, and it's up to the man to stay within the grain. Or when they change it up, it depends how the fate, how the things they do.
Yeah.
Right, but
And that-
see, if you notice, though, just if you go through and you read most of the religious texts, okay, most of them have the same basis, okay? Most of them have the same basic principles.
Whether it's the Quran, whether
Exactly.
it's the Mahabharata, whether it's the Bible, whether it's the Torah, whether they all do have both predictions. It really doesn't matter.
Right, so, I mean, that knowledge that was put in there in the first place had to have stemmed from something in the first place.
True, exactly, and that's where we were talking about the subconscious, and we were talking about that. Then that's where that call comes from. I mean, it's
It's a long
there.
way there for you because basically when we come to Earth, we sign an agreement, what experience, what learning we need to learn, and how we make it as well-being. It's more as a teaching and growth as a thing, like we learn. That's how a lot of part it is. A lot of people didn't know that.
Yeah, certain people were asked to come back. Certain
Okay.
people are here for teaching. Certain people are here for different things. You know?
Kayla, you said that we are seeing a lot of once-in-a-lifetime things.
Yes.
March 28, 1920. Would you consider 100 years a lifetime?
No, I would not.
That is considered a lifetime.
Okay.
So, 37 tornadoes on Palm Sunday, 31 of which were significant across the Midwest and the Deep South. On March 28, 1920, 380 dead, 1,215 injured.
Dang.
That is just one day.
Okay, so wait a minute.
Through April, they ripped through that area.
We're just going to throw this out here, but so this was 100 years ago? Okay, so just like the last pandemic was 100 years ago?
Pretty much, yeah.
So,
We're not far off from
so
that.
we're just on the 100-year cycle then?
Yeah. Like, you look at the 1914, Frank Slide went down in Canada. Or when was the Titanic? 1912 or 1914?
I don't even know. 1912.
So then Frank Slide was 1914.
So Jennifer is saying in the chat room, or was the humanities' first attempt at explaining what we could not understand? Yeah, were we calling tornadoes, the F scale back in the 1900s? When did they start categorizing tornadoes? Does anybody know?
No, but I can look it up.
Because if you're looking at 1914, and they had, they call them, we had 37 disastrous tornadoes. They couldn't categorize them as F5s or F4s or
No,
F3s.
not that era though. They would not even have the knowledge to do that. So that has to be later.
Right. So, but they probably back then they had to look at the death count. So yes, they had 380 deaths. That would probably be an F5 or an F2 that hit a church. I mean, you just never know.
Well, the funny thing about it is when you look at the past and you're doing this kind of stuff, you got to remember in 1915, 1920, whenever this is, we didn't have the warning systems we have today.
No, absolutely
We
not.
also did not have the people that were all here. If you go back into the 1800s and you talk about the earthquake that hit the New Madrid Fault, that made the Mississippi River run backwards and created Reelfoot Lake in Tennessee.
Yeah.
You are looking at a thing that says basically, what would happen if it did it today? The death toll was nothing there because there was nobody there.
Right.
So now we have millions of people there. Look at the death toll if that would happen today. Look at the inner structure that happens. What do we have that's wrong with our country? Our inner structure for years has been weakened. We lose every damn bridge we haven't fooled with forever.
That just shows you right there. That shows you right there. People don't listen, because history repeats itself. We know that.
Sure, it does.
So
it does.
So just it's kind of stupid that you have so many thousand people that moved where the Mississippi River went backwards.
Right.
So even though we have a warning system there today, you can't tell me all 18,000 people are going to move, or be able to move in time.
No.
So
not many would move in the time because it takes a while for those. It depends their health from one. They're willing to go. They're willing to listen. That's another factor. Look what happened to Paradise. They use lasers to disrupt the part of the city. One of my family members lost their home there.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. So, and I looked in cars, and someone showed me that picture. That I looked at it as that's not an ordinary fire. That's a laser.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And,
and that's really the point. If people listen to history, and it's just like if you're familiar with Alabama, Dolphin Island gets hit every year by an earthquake, or not an earthquake, by a hurricane.
Okay.
But they all move back and they rebuild. And then they say, "Oh my God, why does God hate us?" Well, maybe because God gave you a brain and you shouldn't live there because a hurricane's going to hit there. But people don't listen to common sense. People don't listen and pay attention to history. It's going to happen again.
Well, human beings have a superiority complex. Okay. This is like bred into us or something, but we think that we are the shit. We are untouchable. We are...
But I'm sorry, people aren't superior to nature.
No, we aren't. But we believe we are. Just like most of us believe that we're the center of the universe. That we are the only existence. That we are somehow, out of all these billions and billions of galaxies and stars and everything else, that we are alone because we are
You mean we're not? Oh my God!
Right.
We're not the center of the universe.
When it comes to that kind of stuff, people don't think
No,
because they believe they're invincible.
Absolutely.
I could tell you straight up, the history is how the government, so they do raise and fall. They repeat the same cycle.
What?
Oh,
And when I
absolutely.
look at
Look
it,
at
it
Rome.
repeats.
Look at any of the
Sure.
ancients. They're not around anymore, and
No,
if they
if
are,
you
it's
consider
totally
that
different.
and actually consider that history does repeat itself. If we are on a 100-year cycle,
No, stop.
you know what the most significant event in the United States in 1921 was?
What?
A geomagnetic storm.
Oh hell no.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah,
but the geomagnetic storms, okay?
Hang on.
No. Okay, so that we've looked at the other night is actually due to the sunspots and their ability to go through that sunspot because it's directly in contact with Earth, and then it causes that. Okay, so but those are on an 11-year cycle, not a 10-year cycle.
And what?
So-
and that's a problem too. Is we were all just discussing that the other night. Is it's the government's the government's dumbing down the people, and it's doing that because we're
The people are allowing the government to dumb us down.
Well, absolutely.
I agree with that.
We were talking about the school system. We were asking Jalen, Cole and Kayla's oldest son, who is about to go into high school, history questions. He knew nothing about history because the education system
about
is
history, but only very small
What-
amounts
what
and
they
bits
want
and
him to know.
pieces of this and that.
right,
Not
Right. The
the
history part that
actual
they want you
reason
to
behind
know
the fact that this happened.
right.
So he'd tell us like, "Oh yeah, well I know Pearl Harbor, it happened," and then you'd say, "Well, why did it happen?" Well, I don't know.
And it goes right back to also what you were talking about in the beginning of the show, Barry, with the media. The media doesn't
does.
properly portray history for one, and properly portray the news for the other. So you're absolutely right. It is the people's fault for allowing this to happen. If the people stood up and told the media sources, "Look, we're not listening to you anymore. Your ratings are going to bottom out because we're tired of your fake news."
Well, look
I
at
see-
look at our
I see a
world.
lot of fear mongering from it, basically. Most of it's controlled by elites.
Yes, it is.
And
It is controlled by
promoting and like fear dosing. And next thing I know, it's like, no, vaccinations. I'm like, I lost my great grandfather in World War II, and all those shots have stuff into it. It makes you go like nuts and Alzheimer's, and it makes you die.
Yeah. Well, it's just like I said, Project Mockingbird is a true thing. You can see it on the internet. You can see what it was and what it's doing and what it's all about. You can see this happening. Remember when we were younger? I mean, I am considered old nowadays. But you know what? When did we get news? We saw news at 5 o'clock in the evening and maybe in the morning. We did not have 24-hour news programs. They put shit on, and at one point, I remember when they were first starting, we were seeing helicopter chases in California for 4 hours, Oh, this guy has been, that's all you watched, and then whatever agenda that they wanted to put in front of you. If you want to watch TV and you want to understand something that's interesting about TV, and this is not, again, my opinion, but based by a fact. If you watch if you are up late at night and you may be watching ABC News and it's on from 2 o'clock in the morning till 5 o'clock in the morning or 4 o'clock in the morning, the stuff you see on that show, you will probably never see the rest of the day. Because at 5 o'clock in the morning, there is a group saying what they're going to put on TV and what they're going to be the news and the news that they're going to do. And that's their agenda for that day. And that is what they will show. And you will see some weird stories that are going out at midnight and beyond, but you will not ever hear about them in any other time of never. I mean, you look at something and you go, what the heck was that? and try researching it. That's the first thing that's going to be disappearing on the internet. That's the first thing you'll see it. It will be gone. They don't want, they're keeping us all in the dark. They treat us like mushrooms. They keep us in the dark and feed you shit all day long.
You need to get away from the mainstream media if you want to get real news. I mean, even the even the BBC is okay. Al Jazeera actually will show you a little more of what's going on. Now, with Al Jazeera, I hated them back in 04 through 06 because they were the network that was actually showing our troops getting blown up by terrorists.
Right. Yeah.
But today, they've changed.
It's not the same anymore. And what happened to the pandemic? People hoard a lot of stores, canned food, toilet paper, and on the list. There's some weird stuff. I'm going to explain it to you guys in this one here. After that, then it's basically sexy clothing, lingeries, different types people are going getting. After for recently, now it's hair dyes.
It's what?
Hair dye.
They don't have hair dye.
Okay.
They don't have their priorities straight.
Yeah, and a whole bunch. And I'm just looking at it, I'm like, okay, all the hoarding the food.
So here's the thing.
And
if
stuff.
you want to manipulate a market in any way, shape, or form, what you need to do is push the fact that whatever item you are trying to manipulate in the world market, in the stock market, in whatever, is the item that everybody needs to have.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Right.
So you are going to get the weirdest ads about some of the shit that you have never heard about before. And you're going to be like, what is that? Well, this celebrity's talking about it, and this one's talking about it, and this one loves it. So all of a sudden, this product that came from God knows where, all of a sudden is the product that everybody is out there trying to get because it is endorsed by these 5 people.
Yeah, but I don't see Charmin. So why are they all going for toilet paper?
None of us can find Charmin right now.
Yeah.
The only way you could probably find it is at Costco or Sam's Club.
Nope.
I'm still confused by that. You know what? So S4, before all this happened, we were setting up our expeditionary team. We were actually going to go up in the mountains and find Bigfoot and get actual video evidence. We were actually going to put a tie between UFOs and Bigfoot. And we're still going to do that once this isolation crap goes away. But, we couldn't find any toilet paper, so we were just kind of screwed anyway. But while everybody was running for the toilet paper, we were getting salt, flour, sugar, cornmeal,
Peanut butter and seeds.
Staples.
Yes.
But with that, we were getting a 10-man tent. We were getting a stove. We were getting mountain gear. So that if we actually had to, if the shit hit the fan, we actually had something to use up on the mountain.
You didn't already
but
have
we also didn't buy stupid either, because even if nothing ends up happening because of this, everything blows over, stuff goes back to normal, okay, world comes back, whatever. Well, it's still stuff we're going to use on our expeditions.
Absolutely.
So there was no reason to not get it. Because we were going to eventually have to have it anyways.
So now, if everything goes back to normal by June, we have our 10-man tent, our camping stove, all of our gear we need, so we can still go up on the mountain and,
our TP.
Say hi to Bigfoot. Oh no, I've got tree leaves I can use for teepee. All
right, I got a question for everyone.
Okay.
Yep.
We all have a certain amount of knowledge about everything, or about different things, I mean. Mm-hmm. Okay, a friend of mine posted a video yesterday or the day before, I think the day before, and he was still posting it yesterday. What are we going to do with all this knowledge? Say all of us here get the coronavirus and drop dead right now, or in 5 days.
Okay.
I guess
what are we going to do with the knowledge that we got? Yeah, we've been posting on Facebook. People half the time don't listen to us. And his point was, do we have someone to pass the knowledge on?
Our kids.
Absolutely, my children.
Yep.
He doesn't have a child or...
Okay, well, then we're going to get back into that wonderful Akashi record there. So, whether or not you actually get your knowledge passed on to a living being at that time your knowledge is stored and passed on because you experienced it. Every single being that has ever lived has experiences, and we can all tap into the experiences of other people.
How?
There's different
Through the
There's
Akashic
two ways.
field.
The meditation through
There's
the
two
Akashic
ways
field.
of teaching.
Say again?
Meditation and teaching and showing them
Yes.
and explaining it. It's how the natives usually do way back then. And so is shamans.
So we'll be the next spirits coming back to a spirit box saying, no, stay isolated. Don't leave your house.
Yeah, sometimes some spirits like to say certain things that could lie like a human would in some cases. So I had to deal with a couple of spirits.
Well, not only that, but you
throughout
never
my
know.
time.
You never know who you are going to be in history until history has gone by. Okay,
Right.
so there is several different dig sites of people that we have dug up that are in museums now that are part of our knowledge of humankind that were probably nobodies in their day.
And yeah, so if we die, if we all drop dead, there are S4 archives.
Well, yeah, that's the thing.
That's books, other things like that. Looking at the internet. Oh, good Lord.
Yep.
Hey, no, I know, but realize that it doesn't matter what you put on the internet. That
It's
let's
always
say,
there.
yeah, if you put a picture on there, it never leaves.
Nope.
Yeah.
I have a website and a whole bunch of groups, so.
Yep.
So,
it's
See,
documented.
The thing is, like other beings, like I know, like we could usually tap on satellites, tap on knowledge, and what's going on Earth.
Okay.
Many of them do that.
You know how many books? You know how many books are going to come up out of this pandemic?
Too many.
Just watch
way
for
too
them.
many. The other thing that people don't really realize is how many people's lives you actually affect. Okay? It could be something
True.
as simple as you smiling at some random person across the street.
That's depressed.
And that makes them stop for the 3 seconds that would have caused them to have an accident later on that day.
Mm-hmm.
We don't know how many people's lives we touch. Every single time that we go out and we are in the public and we talk to anyone, interact with anyone, do anything, we are changing the course of everyone who we come in contact to's life.
Yeah, we had a moment of that this week.
By
actually.
talking, and just like tell them straight up, like that, they could take it from grain of salt.
So it's like
and
that,
how they could see.
The what you would call it, golden lines, or some people call it 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon. There's
Right.
all kinds of different ways to put this, where every single person's interactions, every single person's thought processes, everything else affects the way that every other person on the planet lives.
Mm-hmm.
And
in some way, shape, or form.
I agree with that.
More
But-
people would stay at
or
home if
negative.
that was true.
Well, here's an important part that I have to throw about this, and this goes back to the isolation thing and everything else. What have they done to us if you are locked down and you are in certain areas? I mean, I can't go to conferences and I can't speak to people. I cannot
absolutely.
do the things that are like this way. I cannot do this. I mean, I've got a library in Kentucky that has asked me to do a Facebook thing so that they can promote and so they can go out and do it, because people have asked about what do I think about this, and that. They have divided all that group. You can't get together with anybody. You can't go anywhere. You can't do anything. It's all because of this one thing, but it affects everybody in that way. So,
Absolutely.
which becomes a major problem, So, and what happens is all they do is feed their crap to the masses continually, and it takes the other people who say, "Wake up, take a look at this. Would you think can you think just about this? Can you think about opening yourself up and everything else? I mean, golly, I would. For me personally, I know that if I'm sitting down here at the corner of Franklin and I see some weird people in weird costumes with sticks and they start spraying stuff in the air, that's happened like 2,000 years ago. When we talk about the plague and everything, I'm going to go, oh boy, we're really screwed now.
Yeah, and
you never know.
You're absolutely right, because S4, we were supposed to take S4 to the Oregon Ghost Conference 2 weeks ago. We were supposed to go to the Macmillan UFO Conference here next month. That ain't going to happen. If we're lucky, we might be able to go to the Skagit County Fair with our booth in August. And if we're lucky, we might be able to go to the International Bigfoot Conference with our booth in September. It's, everything is up in the air. And I think that's what drives people the most nuts, is the unpredictability and the uncertainty of the future.
That's why the government wants you to depend on them.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is right.
They're your daddy right now.
They want you to depend on them and basically be Google boys or girls. That's how it is. I'm looking at it as I'm like, really?
Yeah.
And that's actually why we might be going to homeschooling for our kids, so they actually learn something.
A lot of people already have.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I hear a lot of schools are shut down for the rest of the year, and I says, okay, so people have to restart their grades, or do they just let it go?
They think they're going to let it go.
Nah, we're
unfortunately, the class of 2020 probably won't have a big graduation.
I think it depends on which state you're in, because I know here in Washington they're actually graduating them.
Yes.
I think that they're going to graduate them.
They still have to pass their tests.
Okay.
Yeah, you still have to pass a test. It's going to be done by the internet, or you have to do your classes. You'll still get passed, no matter what happens. But guess what? Forever.
No party.
Well,
no
yeah, I mean, you're not going to have any of that, and that's what they're getting ready for the society to go.
There are some places that are doing drive-bys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Drive-by graduations.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we'll just kind of think of it as like going, are they setting up the future for us? Or that those things are not going to happen anymore?
Well, that's what makes you wonder.
What's the next pandemic that's going to come out? What's the next thing that they will say? Hey, we can't do this. You can't do that. You're driving us to a certain point.
That's
forget about.
Now, I do believe that this came from nature, but I also do believe that there are certain social experiments that they are doing within it, because they are trying to see whether they can do this or whether they can do that, or how far we could push this or how far we could push that. And
how do we fix? How do we transform? So
that's how their mind works. So see how far they could push the people learning them that don't have a lot of money, and it's like a big pyramid.
No, but
and
this is the thing.
I have to list a name of elites.
This has happened through history, though. If you look at history, and if we're going off of history, this is what happens every single time. Is anything that changes, it's caused by something. So, like the invention of the internet, obviously, it put us into a whole new revolution.
Right.
It made information readily available at our fingertips. Well, because that information is readily available at our fingertips, what does that also cause? That causes false information. That causes differentiating opinions being out there that you would have never thought of or had the knowledge about before, to even think that, oh, well, that might be because of this instead of because of that. So every time something happens to change humanity, people are going to take advantage of it. That's just the way it works.
Here's the thing. I think Jennifer hit a good point in the chat room. This might be the beginning of the brick and mortar. And,
the beginning of the end.
That is true.
Right.
She's saying the beginning of the end.
You see more online grocery stores. I mean, we've used them.
She's talking about schooling.
Yeah. It might be what pushes everybody to do online schooling versus in classroom schooling.
But I have an issue with what she's saying, too. She's saying they don't even teach cursive or history anymore. My issue is that some schools do.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But name me a school in the last 20 years in the United States that has taught correct history.
Well, I can tell you straight up, but I know they remove a lot of history out. It's like rewritten, and I looked at all of that, and it's like I'm an old soul, and I'm like, what?
Well,
and they moved that out. They moved this out. So what is this?
Right.
And I can tell you, like a lot of the stuff that people my age in this country have learned isn't what the rest of the world has.
Well, isn't what your country has? Because we don't honestly know what.
Yeah. We do.
I got to stop real quick. I've got to stop real quick because I just got a message from Dennis in the chat room that, stay safe to our listeners in Alabama. They've been hit hard with 26 tornadoes in the last 2 hours. So
26 in the last hour.
Yeah, that area's been affected for all day. The big storm is over there, pretty nasty.
So for our listeners in Alabama, actually. For our listeners in Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, and Texas,
and
today's been devastating.
Yeah, I heard the truck got crashed to there and pulled a power line. That's many hours ago. It's hitting really bad. It's really nasty there. It's like how it's coming in.
It's hitting late in the season. That's what's...
it is hitting late.
That's what's weird for that storm system. We are coming down to the last 5 minutes of the show. So for our listeners, we will be on Into the Fire on the 21st. So I'll make sure we get the link up in there to go jump into Barry's show.
Damn right, I'm so excited, Barry.
It's going to be fun.
It's going to be fun. It's going to be a great show.
Pam, where can we find the shows that you support? I know you're the social media for Dr. J.
I'm the social media manager for Dr. J, and I listen to his show when he's doing one.
What's his? What's his? Oh, we don't have a date for his next show, do we?
No, we don't.
Okay. Okay. I was going to say what's his next guest, but we don't know yet. So just again, Dr. J shows is the only show that gets.
No, I listen to. Well, I also listen to Michael Vera. Okay. You know him? Mm-hmm. I've known him for years. I know him when he was on Blog Talk Radio.
Yep. Excellent.
Oh, nice.
Excellent.
If you're looking for a link for Dr. J's show, you can always go visit Forest Moon Paranormal on Facebook in the group. Pam posts every week for.
Yep. I piss so many people off because there's a lot of shows that we don't. I mean, because. FMP is the voice of S4.
Yeah.
The only other show that gets advertised in FMP as far as the radio show goes is Dr. J. And that's because I've been on his show. I don't know him that well, but I know the quality of guests that he gets on his show are phenomenal. And Barry, you just don't advertise your shows in FMP. You need to.
I should. I really do need to.
The only other show that gets advertised in FMP is
Dead Man Radio.
Dead Man Radio.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he doesn't advertise it either. But only our friends get to advertise in FMP, and that is Dr. J, Barry, Into the Fire, and Dead Man Radio. And that's with Cryptomnesia.
Yeah.
So, any last words? Any last comments?
Happy Easter!
Happy Easter, happy Ostara, and I do want to reiterate, whether you believe it or not, whether you like it or not, this pandemic is a very, very real issue. Make sure you're isolating. Make sure you stay home. Please don't make me call you stupid, because I have no problem insulting people, but stay home. If you don't stay home, you're going to see a spike in this pandemic, and we don't want that.
And then we'll be home longer.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Right, exactly.
They honestly should have locked the whole country down, not giving it up to each state, because some states don't care and don't care about their people.
The people themselves should have had brains enough to say, this is what other countries have done. I should do it for the safety of myself and my family.
Well, that's
and
what
others.
Why do we need the government to tell us common
We shouldn't have to. But you got too many stupid people out there. Too many, it's going to violate my constitutional rights. But they have no freaking clue about what the Constitution represents or what it means.
I want you to join my Facebook group. It's called
my God.
World Order.
No,
I remember that one.
They're going to give me a migraine.
What they did to
I get
us
migraines.
in California? They basically said, we'll let you guys out on April 15th. Now it's April 30th. Now it's May 15th. I'm like, wow, make your mind up.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of people out and about. I'm like, great. I'm going to lose my whole summer because people don't listen.
No, they don't. And it really can't. I'm not a tirade now. But
tirade over, show over, stop it.
The thing is, I need the sun because my genetics is a little bit different, and my toxic builds up. I don't feel well, so if I don't get the sun,
Speaking of sun, I heard the sun is good for getting rid of or helping keeping the coronavirus away. If it's true or not, I don't know. I'm not a doctor.
It gives the vitamin D to your body, and then you needed it. It helps.
Right.
So that helps me because my genetics is a little bit mutated, so I needed that more often.
Vitamin D.
As far as what they're saying about the sun, though, is they're going off of flu patterns. And in flu patterns, we do have a lot less cases of flu during the summer months than we do. So that's the only reason they're talking about the fact that the summer months with the hotter weather might do something here.
But here's the thing. If you look at it from that perspective, Australia is in summer. It's hot there. Africa is in, it's always hot right now. So you don't see a difference so much in the hot countries versus the cooler countries. I don't see a temperature changing this virus. Just my opinion.
No, the thing is about this virus, like I found out, these scientists grab certain type of bats have coronavirus. What part that affects animals? One could be transcendent with man.
Right.
So basically, they combined in them, and this is the main issue. Now it's the faster spreading to man to man.
Mm-hmm.
Easy because there's certain cells, like the triggers of man's cells, what receptors could be susceptible and is not.
I just
remember that
I don't know if we got it from bats or where we got it from. Everything's
they
up
got
in the air.
it from a horseshoe bats, basically, for one part, and certain bats, like, genetically, they mutate to certain cells, these labs.
Hey, we have an immune system, and our immune system is built to do certain things. Take zinc, drink quinine water, do vitamin D, do the things that you need to do. Your system will adjust to these things. That is what it does. Right. It has done it for years and years and thousands of years. Mm-hmm. Whether you get certain things or whatever. Don't forget, the human body is the way that it is. One thing that I need to say to people before we go is, look, think about the truth. Don't take everything that you are seeing on TV, everything that you are is real. Make your own common sense decisions. Trust in yourself and look for the truth. If you're not seeing that and you don't go there, then you are just following along in a path of destruction.
And if you get a fever, do not take ibuprofen. Take Tylenol.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's all the time we have for tonight. Thank you very much. Remember, bottom line, stay home, help to stop the spread. And as always,
and keep your eyes.
Stay safe.
Bless everybody. Have a good one. We'll see you down.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us tonight on S4, the official voice of Forest Moon Paranormal. You can contact S4 through our website at www.s-4radio.com or on Facebook. Make sure you give us a like on our page and join the Forest Moon Paranormal group. If you are interested in advertising, take a look at our packages and contact Cole or Eric at 1-360-999-2830. Again, thank you. And remember, keep your eyes to the sky.